Everyone, look who I have here. It is our friends from TPK, Jack, Kendall, and Pete. Welcome them to the channel. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. So I just want to start off. How did this all start? How did the Players Keep start? How did you guys meet? Why D&D? What happened? How did that happen?
So I know Pete and Kendall from two different places. Pete is someone I worked with on many different acting jobs over the course of 3 or 4 years, and Kendall is somebody I met working at escape rooms a year and a half, 2 years ago now. Two years ago now. Yeah. It was post-COVID, out of lockdown, all of that sort of stuff. And whilst I was working at the escape room, I was chatting to Ben, who you know from the stream as well, and Kendall, and I found out that they were totally into D&D and loved all of this nerdy stuff like I did, and I just offhandedly said, "Oh, one day I want my own show. I'd love to do it in my own world and that sort of stuff." Anyway, a week later,
we were like, "Yes,
let's do it."
Yes.
I've been having to think, and it doesn't sound that difficult to do, and I know Kendall would be up for it, and the rest was history. We had a production meeting.
Oh wow!
2 weeks after, and then we started getting in contact with cast members.
So wow!
And all that sort of stuff, and it kind of just kept going from there. Yeah.
So it was literally overnight type of thing.
It feels like it. It does. It really does.
I think it was one of the things that we'd all wanted to do for a long
100%,
time.
Right.
We never really knew how to go about it.
Absolutely.
But then when we looked at it, we were like, it might actually not be too difficult to do.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Yeah. We sort of took it seriously for the first time ever and went, let's give it a shot. Let's see how well we can do this.
Oh, nice.
I'm very luckily, I'm on the complete other side. I'm just along for the ride. I'm loving it. It's great.
So you're along for the ride, people? What do you mean along for the ride? How did that happen? Did they kind of go, Pete, by the way, we're doing this, can you show up? Or how did it happen?
Essentially. No, me and Jack were doing a little gig down in a place near London. And I messaged him on his way down. I was like, Jack, you play that game called D&D, don't you? I want to try it just once, just as a bucket list, to say I've done it. And he was like, yeah, sweet. I said, yeah, dude, yeah. And he was like, I'll bring my stuff down. And then, he came with bags and Tesco trolleys full of D&D stuff. And I was like, get me involved. Had a play, loved it, and then quite soon after that, Jack was like, "I'm doing this thing," and he asked me to be involved. So very happy. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So out of I kind of know Jack's answer, but out of the three of you, who has played D&D before the start of TPK?
So
technically,
you're just
definitely played it pre-stream.
Right.
We've done, I think, 3 or 4 sessions together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then away we go.
And then
and it was one of those moments where you're like, we know how to play. This will be easy. This will be fine. We can do this.
Yeah, Jack, just ask questions as you go. You'll be fine.
So, being as you all played before, what was the beginning of your play sessions like? Let's go back. What was session 0 like? The very first time before you decided, before you guys turned on the cameras and started doing this, what was that like?
So, it seems so long ago now, and yet it was what, a year ago? So after we'd got everyone's involvement, so after I'd spoken to Ben and Kendall and gone, these are the cast members, as it were, that I want at my table, these are the players that I want, and everyone was like, yeah, we're in. I was like, okay, let's get everyone together, let's meet up and just talk about the world and the setting and what people are playing, and that was kind of our session 0 of getting people together and seeing how they fit and seeing what people wanted to do. And it was so easy going from that first session. Everyone was so up for it and everyone was asking questions about the world. We had a little bit character building, not a lot, but just a little bit.
Okay.
Just the the scaffolding, the skeleton of it, like sorted.
Right.
And everyone went off and started doing their own little thing, writing secrets. And
Oh, nice.
and
And the backstories and stuff kind of just started coming out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So, Session Zero out of the way, what happened that first day, that first camera action, let's go, story started, cameras are on, nerves are like coming out. What was that like?
I think it's so funny because I remember, like, when I watched the first episode that we ever filmed back, I'm like, we were all so nervous.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I
Good
feel
lord,
like,
yeah.
but I feel like it didn't actually take us very long to all kind of forget that the cameras were there,
Mhm.
and I feel like we managed to do that quite quickly, which was
Yeah,
nice.
it was really lovely.
Mhm.
Because our first day of filming that we booked into our schedule, we didn't film.
Really?
It was riddled with tech problems. We couldn't get anything to work. I know. We've just been having tech problems.
Same
getting things to work.
exact thing that happened just a few minutes ago. Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But it'll all be all right on the night. So the first day was so riddled with tech problems. The second day of filming was
Mhm.
technically our first day of filming.
Oh, wow,
We sat
okay.
down And we were like, right, okay, we've got nowhere else to hide. We're going. Once we hit record, there's no editing, there's no cutting.
There's nothing.
That's it. And you suddenly feel like you're falling with no safety net, and it's a little scary, but it's so fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. But
Yeah. And so sorry. Jack was introducing all the characters, hence he developed the world and spoke about the world for 20 minutes, and then he introduced the first characters, and then he...
15 to 20
Well,
minutes.
But no, and then people started getting introduced, and you had to go first, which was terrifying.
Yeah.
And I
oh
had
my
to go
god.
It was kind of terrifying because everyone else went, and I was like, right, okay. And then we went to break, and so I sat for an hour and a half and gone, I'm on camera.
I'm sorry. I'm on camera. Oh crap. Okay, we're good. Hi, we're back. Hi. So, that first session obviously wasn't filmed. Did you refilm that first day, or did you just kind of go with session 2?
No. So the first day, we couldn't actually get to the point where we could record.
Okay.
Because it was like audio problems or camera problems. We couldn't get anything set up. So our first episode is the first time we could record.
Oh,
there
wow.
was no
Okay.
refilms. We made sure that we could get like a 2-hour, 3-hour episode from start to finish. We made sure that
Nice.
episode 1 was episode 1.
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. So, Jack, you've obviously been DMing for a while. What made you transition from that being a player to DMing? Like, what made you decide that this is what I want to do?
It was a really quick process. I started playing D&D in like my end of my second year to start my third year of university, and it was me, 2 other friends as players, and one of my friends DMing. It was something I'd always wanted to try my hand at. It was something off to the side that I was interested in. And we started playing, and I fell in love immediately. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And very quickly, I just remember going, I want to go at this. I want to see if I can write the story. I want to see if I can set the scene. I want to see if I can build the world. I want to see if I can write the lore. And it was that, I don't know, it's being a DM, you get to be so creative in so many different areas. You get to act, you get to create voices, you get to envisage different people and buildings and ecosystems and landscapes, and there's so much that you can do. For me, that was just so addictive from the get-go. I was like, well, this is a playground, this is so much fun. So very quickly I realized, yeah, I want to see if I can be behind the screen and give people that experience as well, though. And that's the one thing that I love about DM the most, is that you can give people such a phenomenal experience, and there's nothing quite like that for me personally. And I've gone back to being a player, and I love being a player, but it doesn't match being a DM.
It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't.
Yeah.
So, here's a question. Do you, Kendall, and Pete plan on DMing any time on the Players Keep on camera?
So I actually DM'd my first session like a couple
Yes.
weeks ago.
Yes,
With, like, a small
awesome.
group of friends. Yeah. With like a small group of friends because we couldn't play our like campaign that we were playing, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try DMing.
Yes, I love
Awesome.
Terrifying.
that.
It was so scary, but I enjoyed it, and I think there might be a day
Yeah.
where that happens.
Amazing.
I don't know if it'll be anytime soon.
Let's see what we can
But it
do.
was fun.
Let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What about you, Pete?
Yeah.
I get so invested in everything. So I suppose if I sat down, we were on the phone when I was in the car today, and I was giving Jack some more breadcrumbs of backstory and things like that, and he was like, "This is amazing," and I was like, "I love it." And yeah, I think the world's still so new to me. To be fair, I'm enjoying just being in such a kind of spontaneous headspace, and you know, anything you do, like second by second changes, you just have to be in it and live it. It's the most interesting acting exercise I've ever done. I would never say it's off the cards. I would love to. I don't trust myself. Would derail after 20 minutes. I'd
You
go
never
off.
trust
It would be
yourself.
horrific.
Believe me.
No,
I love it. If you're up for watching a train wreck, I'm
I
very
thought that would be
happy.
great. I think it would be very entertaining.
it is one of those moments where, like, if you're DMing, you never ever have a set. You can prep and do everything under the sun, and as soon as the game starts, it's out the window. You're going like, what the hell did they? What? That's usually what ends up happening, you know. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
every single time.
Fan.
Every single time. Kendall and Pete, what made you gravitate toward Dungeons and Dragons? Like, why Dungeons and Dragons and not some other TTRPG?
Well, mine is a short answer. This is the first one I've tried, and I'm
Oh, there you go.
To be fair, I think this is the first one I've tried as well. But I think I'd always kind of known about it, but not really known how to get into it. And it was actually when I started working at the escape room that I met Jack at.
Mhm.
A couple of his friends introduced me to D&D and basically helped me build my first character, and then I started playing from there. And it's been like 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's a game that every actor should play because I
Right.
think it's just so amazing to just
Yeah.
like use as a tool, but also
Yeah.
just let yourself go and like be in and Yeah.
You can't prepare. You can't. I will say, the first time again, Jack played. We did like a wee battle-y thing to work out mechanics, and I was like, okay. I love puzzles, and it was just the most expansive puzzle. And I was working this out, battles and all that stuff. And then we started the campaign, and we were in a bar, and I was just instantly, I was like, this roleplay is so immersive. And I remember flirting with Jack. I was flirting with Jack. And it was working, I tell you. It was going there. And I just remember looking at Jack and thinking, this is the boy I go to work with during the day. And then we're coming home at night, and I am chatting you up. Absolutely amazing. I can't get enough.
So,
that's the best bit about D&D.
100%. Chatting this boy.
So-
Absolutely.
Jack, have you any plans to venture outside of D&D, like maybe Vampire the Masquerade or Pathfinder?
I've taken an interest in like other TTRPGs as I've played it. D&D remains to be my favorite, but there's loads of good ones out there. There's loads. I love Call of Cthulhu. Like the thematics within that as well. But like Vampire the Masquerade, you can get quite a lot of that like dark, urban,
Yes.
still mythos-based sort of lore going on, and that's beautiful. That's great. But then there's like short-form TTRPGs that I've like had a look at and stuff like that. So definitely nothing is off the table. And it depends what lands. If people still want to see D&D, great,
Right.
absolutely. If people want to, if we put out like a short-form campaign of, for instance, Vampire the Masquerade or something like that, and that gets a lot of response, then by all means we'll consider doing something else like that, because at the end of the day we are doing this for the entertainment of people on the internet. Like that's why we love this, is because we love to provide this entertainment. So it's fully up to us as a company, but also the responses we get from the audiences as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, you guys on Twitch, I've seen you on Twitch a couple times, and you pretty much started on Twitch. But, are you guys live? Are your sessions live or pre-recorded on Twitch?
They are pre-recorded, but we don't go in and do any heavy editing. Like I know,
Gotcha.
Dimension 20 did like a beautifully edited version of like Fantasy High, which was like their first season. We pre-record because we're all working class actors.
Yeah.
We all have like regular day jobs. We all have really messy schedules.
Yes.
So getting people in the same room at the same time every week to produce content, that's really, really difficult for working class actors. It's nigh on impossible. So pre-recording gives us the freedom to tackle tech problems or for people to have jobs and make sure they can earn a living. But the content that goes out is us. The only thing that we'll cut through is if there's like a sound disturbance, if something's crashed and broken behind camera or whatever it is. That's the only time you'll have a cut. Everything else is as live as we could make it.
That's perfectly fine. So I found you guys on TikTok, and you have a huge following on TikTok, about 16,000. Why did you start with TikTok first and not say like YouTube or Twitch or Instagram per se?
Social media.
I was going to say.
I cannot do tech. It scares me.
So I think the thing with TikTok that makes that so special is just the fact that you can reach so many people with it, because I think the content is literally just like pushed out to, like, it's just random.
Yeah.
Which is good and bad, but but it was just a way to hopefully kind of reach a larger audience and hope that something sticks, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and we just wanted to use that as well as like Instagram and YouTube and Twitch and everything else, just to kind of try and get the word of us out there.
100%. It was like every avenue possible. I remember when we was setting up the socials, and we all bow to Kendall's superior intellect, because anyone who does anything towards social media will know it's a full-time job, and you need a person just to do that. And Kendall smashes it every time. So we were talking to Kendall about what we do, and I was like, do we do a Facebook page? And Kendall just turned to me and was like, no one uses Facebook.
Nobody uses Facebook. I have a Facebook page and I never look at it.
Really showing our ages.
I feel like Facebook is just used for like family.
And it is, but I was like, let's just cover all our bases. Let's just do one of those as well, just in case.
We did.
And we did. You humoured me, and I was so grateful.
It's actually doing alright. Facebook's going alright, so.
Thank the gods.
You know, it's not as good as TikTok.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
It's so strange because like you put your content on. None of my content is on Facebook. It's like a personal Facebook thing. None of the content's on there. I look on it occasionally, maybe for like birthdays and announcements, and I go away. You know, that's really it.
Yeah.
That's really all it's for. So
it's outdated, and because I use Facebook very occasionally to have a little bit of a scroll, see what's going on. But I do see like other companies advertising kind of like they use it as like Twitter or X or whatever it is nowadays. It was more of like here's an update on what's going on, and I was like, okay, well, at minimum, I feel like it might serve a purpose, and that was it.
Right.
It doesn't do a lot for us, not like TikTok,
Doesn't do any
not
harm.
like Instagram, but yeah, it doesn't do any harm. So
yeah, it doesn't do any harm. It's just kind of there, and it's fine.
It's kind of there.
So, Kendall and Pete, how did you come up with your characters? Like, why Cricket? Why Tony? Where did they come from?
Do you want me to go? Cricket was going to be... so I've only ever played... Cricket's the second character I've ever made. The first character was a druid. I think everyone's first character is a druid, probably.
Druid all the way.
Yeah, big up druids. But I'd done spellcasting. Yeah, I'm over it now, eh? I had spellcasted, and I was like, right, I want to try something that isn't spellcasting. And what I really enjoyed about it, because the battle mechanics are class and I love it, but I really wanted to explore the roleplay, so I kind of came at it from a roleplay point of view. I tried to think about backstory from a roleplay point of view. I tried to think about, you know, just trying to make interesting choices, I suppose. He was actually going to be Scottish originally, and then
I stole that from you.
Kendall does such a good Scottish accent. Something else here. I'm getting shown up.
Oh no.
And then I came up with the idea of his little hat, and I was like, he's got a cowboy hat. He could be a wee cowboy, eh? So that's I suppose that's him.
What about you, Kendall?
So, a little fun fact is Tony's backstory is actually based on a song. I'm not going to name the song because that will give a lot away that people don't know yet. I can't name it yet. However, yes, I heard a song and I just really wanted to explore that kind of theme in a D&D character, because I thought it was like a really, I don't want to say too much. But yeah, it's based on a song. Also, my first character that I played was a druid, and I kind of wanted to play something similar spell mechanic wise, so that I could, because I still feel super new to D&D, but I have been playing it for like 3 years, but I still feel super new. So I wanted to have something that I kind of was a little bit familiar with, so I could work with it in like the spell casting sense and not be too overwhelmed with all of like the new mechanics and stuff. But I didn't want her to be a typical cleric. And that's what I'll say.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, really quickly before I move on, so I'm getting a click on someone's mic and I'm not sure who.
We'll have a look at our settings. I'm going to move this slightly away as well, and I'm going to shift some wires, and you let me know if that
Think
is
that's
any better.
Much better. There's no more click.
Not better.
Okay, we're good. They're perfect. All right, so moving on. So for people that don't know, who've never seen you before, or who have just started the campaign, or maybe caught the campaign toward the end, toward later sessions, tell us more about the campaign so far and how it came into existence.
Sure, me? Okay.
This will be Max been for the campaign. He's been building this incredible world for probably 7 years now, and the campaign is just one of the many things that exists in this.
Yeah. So I've
crazy
done
space.
I've done, like, off camera, I've done loads of little campaigns that, as any DM will know, never came to fruition.
They never
or
did.
Stopped, ended very quickly. And it was all about exploring different places.
Right.
I've got a region that is heavily influenced on like ancient Egyptian culture.
Ooh, that's
So that was one place that we explored off camera. But then I've got Galmoria, which is more of like a Eurocentric sort of place. So when we were picking where to start the campaign, my process as a DM, I always get my players' backstories, and I use that as a scaffolding to create the rest of the campaign. So when people were giving me all of these backstories, I would go, okay, you could be from this point in Ilthansia, the world, but the story that you want to tell fits well in Belladrin, which is the country that we see. So that was how we sort of like decided on this campaign, and then with using everyone's backstories as the catalyst for the beginning of the campaign, we started. So we had a couple of people traveling up to a city where they would collide with the other players in, I was trying to do not too cliche a way.
Right.
And they come together with a vested interest in helping each other. And through that, this allyship is forged. And they set about trying to do some good within the city. And then they go out and explore the wilds of Ilthansia and start trying to do good beyond the city as well, and trying to avoid spoilers, and in the most briefest
I was like, how did they say this?
yeah,
without
I don't want to
saying
give
it?
anything away.
It's so hard. I know. I'm so. A lot of the times, questions like that, people are like, "How do I not give this away without like I want to tell you, but I don't want to tell you."
Yeah.
I
I
get
don't
it.
want to reveal any of the plot points.
Well, I suppose Jack asked. He said, you know, along with backstory, he said, "This is where we are going to be. This is the country. This is the city. Give me the reason you're here."
Right.
And that, to be honest, it kind of dictated the first maybe 15
It
or
did.
wee storyline.
In
or...
fact, where I got everybody's backstories,
Mm.
and I had started the first campaign arc to go alongside that, so
Mhm.
everyone had their reasons for being in the city, and something was going on in the city, and I was making sure that they were on parallel. And then Pete gave me his backstory and gave me a way to introduce his character,
Right.
and I was so enamored with it, but I had to rewrite the first campaign arc.
The snake.
Well, that segues great into the next question. Did Jack have to prove your classes and characters, or it was just sprung on him?
I like to try and yes and as much as I can, and when I can't yes and, I know but. So I was like, make a character, I'll give it a once over, and then if there is a very specific reason why you can't have something, I will say, and if I can tell you the reason why, I will. And if there's a story reason, I will just say, I'm sorry, because of reasons, you can't have that specific thing.
Right.
But I tried to be as
Yeah, although
yes,
I do remember us being all sat in Ben's building together, going round the circle, telling each other what class and species we picked to play as. And I remember being sat there like, please nobody else pick cleric. Please nobody else pick
Oh yeah. Oh, and it was
because
mad.
we didn't know who we were all playing. Like we didn't
Oh,
know.
okay.
So
We didn't all know each other before
yeah, no,
we
not
came
properly,
in.
anyway.
Like
Really?
the first time I met these guys was on our session 0. The first time, the first time I hugged Kendall was 2 minutes before we went live, and we went, "God, come here, it's gonna be okay." It's really, I know, but it's really organic in that sense that, like,
Yeah.
where our characters are kind of getting to know each other, but also like I'm getting to know
It's true.
you as people
Yeah.
alongside it, which makes it really exciting for me, to be fair.
So, you guys are all actors. I'm assuming. Okay, so you guys are all actors. So you didn't know. I'm assuming. I'm not going to assume, but you didn't know each other before. I mean, I think Jack and Pete knew each other already, but as a group, you didn't know each other.
Had a way into everyone.
I did.
Yeah, so Jack had a link to everyone.
Okay.
So, but me and Ben, who plays Willow, worked with Jack at the escape room.
Okay.
And then it was kind of us that kind of tried to put this whole thing together.
Yeah.
And then you were like, I've got these other 2 friends that are amazing. And then we brought in Pete and Zoe.
Yeah.
It was great.
And I'm so glad that was the case, because because they didn't know each other, in my head, I was like, I have so many people that could be great players, but I need a handful of people that can be fantastic together.
Yes.
So it part of the session 0 and then the one-shots that we played before going live was to make sure that everybody was comfortable at that table. So I did know everyone, but Callum and Charlotte, they knew each other separate to everyone else, and they kind of knew Dewi through over the internet. Dewi didn't really know everyone, and I knew Pete, but Pete didn't know anyone. So it was,
We all have like mutual friends.
Yeah.
It's like so crazy.
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
we all, yeah. That's just the acting world.
That's
That's usually time of like when there's a tight knit community, even if you don't necessarily know each other, you know of each other. So I get that. As the gameplay started going on, what were your thoughts on each other's gameplay and each other's characters?
Ooh, that's a very good question. For me, because I'm so new to it, I'm learning as I go. I'm shamelessly, pinching bits off people. Like Ben loves loves getting into the role play and sitting in it, and I watch him. Kendall's so interesting because she drips feeds you just enough to keep you hooked. Deli is
And not a drop more.
It's like you're just getting this bit.
No, I love it. Yeah, Deli's like a sledgehammer, and it's just fun to keep up with him. And Callum and Charlotte are incredible as well, and I've learned a lot from watching them all play. And yeah, it's a really interesting way for me to grow as a player, I suppose. I don't know about you.
What about you, Kendall?
Yeah, literally the same, but I feel like it was, even though we didn't fully all know each other, we all clicked so quickly. And
Yeah.
I think we were all just on the same page of how we wanted to play, and we were also, I think that comes with like being actors and the type of people that we are, but we were also immersed in it, which is such a big thing, because I think that's so special to be immersed in this like imaginary story that's happening, but feel it and make it so real, and just all be there to support each other as well through things, and like know that we have each other's backs, and if you want to try something, just try it. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
There's a lot of trust at
There's
the
a lot
table,
of trust.
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
gorgeous. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Well,
I've
Jack,
never felt.
as you as the DM, what did you think about their gameplay, especially as experienced DM, at their gameplay, but how they were interacting with each other as players?
It was truly breathtaking to see that. Anyone in this community will read forums or memes or whatever of that one horror player.
Yes.
And I am very lucky to, even off screen, have only DM'd people who were just fantastic players. This group of people, I could not make them in a lab better. They are just phenomenal. The performances that come out of each and every one of them, I'm just sat watching them with my breath being taken away from me. And then in the very next beat, they will sideline me with a mechanic or a bit of role play or just a beautiful piece of dialogue.
There was something I watched the other day, and I want to say it's so bad, but I know people are probably gonna start watching your campaign, and
Okay.
but Kendall
Can you allude to it?
Kendall pulled out this bit of roleplay that surprised the entire table, including you, and literally you're like your mother. I was like, oh!
Yeah. Totally sidelined me.
Yeah.
Totally sidelined
Your
me.
face. I wish I could have like done a screenshot. Your face was like. Everyone's face was like, what?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was chef's kiss. I was like, yes.
No, absolutely. And they've all had those moments. And just one more thing on that is also, I'm so honored at the trust that they put in me. They have this unwavering trust that I'm gonna do the right thing by them, and I try and do so as much as I can. But like, for instance, Ben's not had a single drop of roleplay come up that backstory that I've put in. He's done that himself. But the trust that he puts in me to know that is coming, that's a serious honor for a DM to have, and it's really humbling, and I'm very grateful for all of them. They're amazing.
You guys are amazing. I have a bunch of live play that I watch, and you're one of them, and it's like, there's such a good moment. It's such a good moment. Guys, go watch. Go on YouTube or TikTok. Go and watch. There's gonna be a moment where Kendall's gonna do this thing, and I'm not gonna say what it is.
Yeah.
But the camera pans to everyone's face, and everyone's face goes, what? It's great. It's absolutely the best thing I've ever seen.
Can I just say, like, we are still comparatively such a young company that anytime somebody says, I watch your stream,
Yeah,
it literally
we're
makes
like,
us all
what?
bubble up. So thank you for that. Like, it's absolutely magic, genuine.
Well, a lot of my chat and my community knows I lurk everywhere. I kind of just hide. I don't say anything. I may say a little, hey, how you doing? But most of the time I'm kind of lurk, don't say anything. And then like, I would love to ham them on my channel. So I'll eventually pop up.
I love that. I love that.
It makes me so happy. What are your feelings on your characters now versus when you first started? Because the development has been, in my opinion, exponential. So, like, what do you think about when you first started to, like, what it is now?
I feel like Tony has changed so much. Not changed, but she's opened up way more.
She speaks to strangers.
Questions.
She does.
She asks questions to people. She would never do that at first. Yeah, I just think, linking back to what you were saying before, Pete, on how we've all like grown together as friends as well as actual characters. I think that's happened so much, and it's like the growth and it is in us as well as the characters. But yeah, literally Tony, I'm so surprised with how quick she's opened up to all of the other characters, because I didn't expect that. To the point where I find myself sometimes just being myself around the table. And I shouldn't be. I'm not Tony.
Go back in character.
Go back. Yeah, I'm always the one that's laughing as well. I'm always corpsing and I can't help it. But yeah, so that's
pressure.
me.
Oh man, I adore Cricket, and he was just some words I put down on a page when I panicked and had probably the last minute and was like, oh God, okay, he's a rogue. No, what was.
You were deciding on that class for so long.
I couldn't work it out, and I was in the shower doing voices, like, is this him? No, that doesn't feel right. Is this him? So, and some things you write down and you go, okay, this is part of who he is. And some things you do not realize until you sit down and you open your mouth or you respond to someone. So much of acting, reacting, and so much of Cricket's character is ADHD.
Yep.
It's amazing to just let myself go. You never get to play a character for this long in any other acting. Like if you're doing filming, you film a character for a couple of days and you send it off, and if you're doing a tour, maybe a month, maybe a couple of months, but this is coming up on a year. I've sat in these choices and grown with him, and nobody can have him. I love him. I can't let him go. Yeah. I think again what you were saying about the fact that we're all kind of growing together, like there's a part of me that's like, yeah, Pete met you guys when Cricket met you guys, and it's just really interesting. Like the first time I saw Ben cry, he wasn't Ben, he was playing Willow, and it's mad. Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Jack, as the DM and as the I guess you would say the driver of this story arc, what has the experience been like for you from the beginning, watching these characters grow and what they are now?
It's been beautiful. It's these guys, because they're also actors, they also yes and. So I've had a rough idea of the story, and sometimes they'll divert, but like 75% of it, they've kind of gone, oh, I want to pick up that breadcrumb. So some things have been expected, and then there are other things that I would never have guessed a character to do. There's a moment on stream with Willow in one of our long rests. I won't say what happens, but I'm role-playing with Willow as an NPC, and then Willow shifts. And I, as a person, suddenly go, oh, wait, hang on, what's happening here? And you can see my cogs start turning as Jack, not as the NPC.
Right.
So there's always a surprise. You can never predict what's going to happen. So it's been beautiful, I guess, to kind of discover these characters along with them.
Right. So the DM is in a unique position to be not only the story driver, but kind of an audience member. As the audience member part of your role, what does it feel like watching the story arcs between your players?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's gorgeous. I say this with no hint of immodesty whatsoever. The magic comes from the players,
Mm.
always. And for me personally as a DM, it's the players that put the magic there. You as a DM create the history and the players create the future.
Yeah.
So you can give them all the tools, but then they go and do what they want to do with it.
Mhm.
And the interactions that have happened, the brotherhood that is forged so early on with Cricket and Sigismund is gorgeous. The mothering nature of Willow that evolves not just from Tony but to everyone in the party is absolutely fantastic. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and it's always a delight to watch, because every time one of them has a conversation, even if it starts off on like an offbeat or a funny note, there's always something that will just really strike a chord, and it's a delight to watch.
Yes,
And they then take that skill and take my material and just make it into magic. It's tremendous. It's a great privilege.
How tempted have you ever been as the DM to kind of like just sit back and go like, I'm just gonna let them do their thing. Like, I'm not driving in today. This just seems like their thing today.
All the time. Sometimes I don't have a choice. Sometimes they'll go off hunting, and I will just be like, okay, we're doing this now. This is all you guys, because I've got nothing planned down this road. But again, it's that trust of if I let these players go, something magic will come out.
Right.
At some point, there will be something that makes a 5-minute waffling conversation worth every second.
Right.
So many points. There's points where I have to interject because I have an NPC coming in to divert to another storyline or whatever, and I'm trying to find a moment to come in, and the conversation going. I'm like, I don't want to stop this. I feel rude. I want to let them finish. So
I get it. Do you have any plans, Jack, to professionally DM in the future? Is that a thing that you're gonna do, or is this and your day job specifically it for now?
For now, certainly this is it. I mean, to be honest, the amount of work that goes into producing this is way more than enough. And although the company is not in a position, the company is not large enough to be bringing in a lot of income at the minute, we want to get to that point where it can become self-sustaining. So for me, this in my head is my professional DM sort of gig. Other DMs I've seen loads of people who run games for money, and I like the amount of work that goes into DMing. You kind of can't blame them. Like, it's a lot of time and energy that goes into this. For me, myself, it's not an option that I think I'm interested in or even able to do, but that is literally just for me personally.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it. But is there, we had said before, I touched on it before, TikTok, you guys are huge on TikTok, about 16,000 followers. Is there a plan or its goal to become full-time on a full-time endeavor for this, the players keep to be full-time and all you do?
Sorry. Yeah. On that note, then, yeah, that would be the dream. When we started out on this venture together, we were shooting for the moon. We were aiming. We wanted this to be it. We want to do this forever. We get so much enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
It to just have it run itself. We don't need to make a lot of money. Just for it to run itself would be the dream. So 100%.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the fact that we've come into it from a place of doing it for the joy, like there was never an intention to, like, you don't look at streaming and go, that's a money making.
Exactly.
We absolutely love telling stories and putting this stuff out there. So really, all the talks we've had as well about the stream is trying to improve. Trying to get trying to get better.
We're doing this from like the ground up. Like
Yes.
we had nothing.
We're filming
in a basement. Like we had
a lovely basement. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Beautiful basement.
It's great, but like we've had to like get all of this ourselves and just like work our asses off.
No, it has been. It's been personal investments of our own cash.
Yeah.
It's been borrowing and stealing anything and everything we can. cutting deals with people and being like, hey, listen, we have next to no money. Can you do a deal on the venue for this instead of this? Like, and just trying to make it work.
And shout out to Duncan, who does all of our tech.
Oh, God.
He's all for free right now, and
Yeah.
he does everything for us,
Yeah.
and he's incredible.
And he also works a full-time job, and apparently sometimes he eats and sleeps.
So, we love you, Duncan.
We love you, Duncan.
we love you, we love you, Duncan. We did mention Duncan earlier before stream started, like hoping that he would come help us out.
Case in point,
Yeah.
he's off duty, and yet he's still our go-to guy.
Yeah.
Like, help us! We don't know where you're at, but help us.
We're drowning without him. Truly.
It was a struggle. It's always for everyone who's new in my chat. If something doesn't go wrong, whether there's an echo or a clicking or no sound, it's not a Classic Sam stream. So it's par for the course. We made our quota for the day. So yay for us. What was your reaction? Well, let me ask you this, if it's not too personal. Is TPK in the Creator Fund?
We are on TikTok.
Yes, on TikTok.
Yeah, we're not at the moment. It's been because we didn't really know how that would impact our reach going forward.
Okay.
It's something that we're definitely looking into, but we've just not made that jump just yet. Because I feel like all of the followers that we've gained has been in the past couple weeks. Like we've really gained a lot, so we've not really had time to kind of sit and be like, what do I want to do with this?
We're trying to catch up with it all.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So-
So not.
So to a small extent, I've had this similar thing that happened where I got all these followers. Like, where the hell do you guys come from? And it was specifically because of an instance that happened with a TTRPG content creator, which everyone started finding everyone because of this person. What do you think about what happened and how it impacted the community, and what positive things have come out from that instance? If you know what I'm talking about. I don't like saying this person's name out loud because I feel like it's giving energy, but just so people don't know, it's Gabe Hicks. Kind of like did a thing, not a good thing, and it just people kind of like, what happened? And people started discovering TTRPG behind that negativity. So,
but on that note of like, so with regards to like, is that regards to like us on social media and what's come out of that sort of stuff?
Yes.
I think one of the things, I think it was Kendall that said this, when it got to a point where people were stitching that video that made us go viral, that was crazy. And people wanted to share their own stories because of that. And that was absolutely gorgeous. To think that we'd inspired someone to go, you know what, that was an incredible moment, and it's made me think about my home game. And at the end of the day, this is one of the things that like is the lifeblood is the community. Like it starts and ends with the community.
Yes.
So making that community stronger, having people share stories, that's beautiful, that's gorgeous. So for me, that was something that you said, but always stuck with me, was like, yeah, this guy's wanted to share his story. So for me, that was always a really positive thing that came out of just this like one video. And it was one video.
Yeah.
Like it was an overnight thing. And we're, again, as you say, we're still trying to process it.
That's fine. Well, talking about the Creator Fund, when you do decide to do it, what were your thoughts with the changes they made to the Creator Fund? There's a lot of new changes happening on TikTok, basically because here in the US, it may get banned. So I think they're trying to like twist it around to make it safer. What are your thoughts on what they've done with the Creator Fund and what they may do in the future? And how it might affect TPK as a whole?
We're constantly looking at these sorts of things. Like when that bill was passed in America, I immediately messaged the chat like, oh, by the way, this is starting to sound really serious, because you said they sort of threatened it.
Yeah, because I swear it's happened before. Like, it's not to this extent, I don't think, but like there's been a few times in the past, because I started on TikTok in like lockdown. So, but I remember there being like, oh, the US are like shutting TikTok down. And everyone would be like, follow me on Instagram, quick! Like that's what would always happen. But yeah, this seems a bit.
It seems a little bit more serious. and so we can only like monitor the situation and
Mhm.
go like step by step and just see what we need to do and try and keep ahead of it. I've already started. When that came out, I was just, I'll have a quick Google and see if anyone's also doing a different social media app. Because it can be the make or break for people.
Yeah.
So I guess the only thing we can really do is like revise, investigate, keep ahead of it as much as we can, and just as soon as something very final, as soon as a decision that is very final is made, then we go from there and go, okay, right, what do we do now as a company? How is it best that we respond?
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pivot a little bit. So we all know you guys are all actors and you're used to being in front of an audience, but when you all first started doing this type of content creation, how did you overcome the anxiety and fear of pretty much improvising a character on the spot in front of a camera, or did it come naturally because you're actors?
Personally, I'll go very quickly. I was terrified until I started speaking, and then I was sitting kind of second guessing what I was going to say, what I was going to do. I knew I'd given Jack the entrance I was going to have. I'd said, this is how I want to be here. But Jack is such an immersive storyteller that actually, as soon as I started talking and I started shutting up and listening, that part of my brain that goes going, and I was just lost in it. So I was very happy. I was. Yeah.
What about you,
Yeah,
Kendall?
I feel like it was kind of a scary thing because I felt like you had to be on it, but then I think that was also a really good thing, because the thing that I love the most about D&D is the role play, and I knew that this group of people, we all, like I said before, I'm saying the same thing again, we're all on the same page with that. And I think once we started going and we knew that the kind of pressure was there, it was like a good kind of pressure that made the nerves go away, and that's when we all kind of relaxed a little bit more, and again we just like trusted each other, and we all just we're on the same level. That's that's all I can say.
100%.
Yeah.
I suppose when you're acting as well, it's because I've done quite a lot of, I've not done quite a lot of stage. And I've done film, and there's a little actor brain that ticks away saying, are you standing in the right place? Are you under the lights?
Right.
How long is your scene running? Because they'll say an interval, the first act is 53 minutes. And if you indulge in yourself and go on and on and on, then obviously the interval's not going to be in 53 minutes and things like that. So having that actor brain switch to not thinking about where I was standing, but thinking about the pacing of a scene. Was I sharing, was I leading and following, and
it's all here and here. It's there's almost no physical, and
Yeah, I think you just have to listen, and I think that's been so important. And I love silence as an actor, and I think silence is so important.
Yes.
And I think that's been such a huge thing in the role play with us, because it just really shows that you're listening, and I think we're all just in it. And that's that's it. Like, if you walked in while we were playing, you'd be like, what is going on in this room? Like the atmosphere and the tension that we create sometimes when we cut, I'm like, oh my god.
Some poor guy came in. We're in the basement, and next to the basement is the electricity box for the building, and some guy came in, and I think Ben was crying.
We were all crying.
And
we
were all and everything was going nuts. And this poor guy just kind of nudged Duncan, the tech guy, and went, I'm here to do the electricity. Get out! Why are you here? It was so intense. He was a lucky man, and he had a lovely chat.
Yeah, he was probably like, why are you all sat in here crying at each other? What's happening?
That poor guy. But so for you, Jack, as the DM, I mean, you're an actor as well, but you have a lot of prep to do, like a lot of prep to do. So do you have that same anxiety and fear when the cameras come on and you have to start?
Every second. I won't lie. I say this every week in the group chats that we've got. There's never enough prep time. There's never enough. I can never flesh out an organization too much. I can never detail a city too much. There's no amount of voices and noises that I do in the shower that will mean that I'm 100% happy with that NPC. Like, it'll never be enough. So when I'm about to introduce a new NPC, in my head, not out loud, because I'll interrupt the RP, I'm trying to do an accent in my head, which is nigh on impossible, because you have to use your vocal mechanics to do it. It's terror all the time, 24/7.
What's the villain faces when he's not talking?
So, with that being said, how do you stay, as they're having their monologues or as they're interacting with each other as their PCs, how do you not only keep track of what they're doing, but stay in character for your NPC that's coming up next? Like,
That's a really good question.
That's a really good question. I think it's knowing the rules of the world.
okay.
Whenever someone asks how do you do it, if I can plan X amount, and it'll never be enough, but if I know the city and I know the laws of that city and the people that enforce them, the do's and don'ts, just as an example, when someone does something on the street, if I instinctively know the rules of my world and know that intrinsically, then I can improv and act within that sort of guideline that I've given to myself. So I'm improving on the spot with a lot of information I've given myself, I guess is the best way I can describe it. It's a really good question, and I feel like I've not done it justice.
That's okay. That's totally okay.
But yeah, I think that's how I do it. I don't know.
Look, I have a hard time a lot of times if I'm behind the screen, or most of the time I'm behind the screen, but I'm behind the screen, I'm like kind of down like this and making like faces because I'm listening to what they're saying, but I'm like, okay, this NPC's coming up next, but I forgot what the hell she sounds like. Like crap. Oh my god. Hi.
Yeah. And you say that first word, and then you're in, and you've got to commit. So no matter how much prep you've done, no matter how much you think you're gonna come out as one thing, could come out as something completely different. And you've got to hope that it's an accent that is close to what you were going for, so you can eventually bleed it into where you want to be, nice and subtly, or you've just got to go wrong and be strong with it. So I have taken to doing affectation. I have taken to affectations as opposed to accents, because a lot of times I forget who the accent belongs to. So I'm like, I'll just make them a gruff voice, and I can get away with that. I can get away with an affectation. And that is just like such a great tool. Like going away and watching like voice acting techniques and stuff like that. They will say you don't need to change like necessarily how your voice sounds. It's how you talk. So make them gruff, make them falsetto, change the pacing of your tone, or make them talk really quickly. And even in that same voice, like all the voice acting like intros and tips that I've seen can do so much with the same voice, but the way that they speak. So absolutely, it's a great tool to lean on, of like you can get so much character without doing an accent, and that's beautiful. It's great. It's so much easier. It's also so much easier. So are you guys fans of Dimension 20 and Critical Role? Yeah. Are you big fans?
How do you not be?
Absolutely.
So do you or have your community compared yourselves to Dimension 20 and Critical Role, and what are your thoughts and opinions on that?
We've had a couple comments on our like TikToks and our episode clips at the moment that have compared us to Critical Role and Dimension 20, and we all just had to kind of take a step back and be like, what is happening? That's the dream. You know what I mean?
It is. These are the leading organizations in this. They made this medium what it is. So we've been. Even if Critical Role or Dimension 20 isn't your bag, you can't deny the success. So when you're put even in the same room as them, that's a privilege, that's an honor. It's really great that people because people are acknowledging that they are successful whether they like them or not, and
Right.
if you're bringing out material that they think is of a similar quality, that's such a compliment. And as big of fans as we are, we get very starstruck.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
When you say when you talk about compare as in a personal sense as well, like the only way we can hope to compare is in a sense of looking up to and learning from and discovering from. So when you sit there and put somebody on such a pedestal, and then somebody else pings you a message and goes, "Oh, that was a bit like this," and you're like,
That was
What?
honestly, literally.
absolutely wild. They're very good. And also for us, our tech is, we are budget everything. So the only thing that you can compare is the material that's going out,
Yeah.
or the roleplay, or the. So it only makes it more exciting for us.
that's incredible. So do you use examples of what you see in D20 and CR? Do you use examples of what they're doing to blaze your own path, or is it just you're doing your thing so people make that connection because the acting and gameplay is so good?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
I think one of the best tips I've had at learning to become a better actor is the best actor is like a sponge, and the more you watch, the more you saturate yourself with brilliant things from over here and excellence from over there. You should never be thinking about trying to do something in the moment. You should just be in the moment. So
Right.
I suppose subconsciously I'm taken from everything, but
Right.
consciously I'm not trying to emulate anyone per se. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think also like on a like kind of technical standpoint, we we
You're there.
kind of sorry, we kind of had the aim to do it in a way that Critical Role did it, in a sense that we wanted it to not have cuts and we wanted to just kind of stream
Yeah.
the whole thing. But that was kind of the only, so we never expected to be like compared to them.
No,
anyway.
absolutely. It was a lengthy conversation of, hey, these guys are doing it and they're doing it well. So for me as a DM, when I was putting together the table, I was like, what makes them so successful? And it all boils down, and they say this themselves, they always treat it as a game, as much as it is an organization, and that's it. At the core, it's a game. And I was thinking about this, and I was looking at this, and I was like, it's the people. That everybody's coming back for the people. The stories change, the characters change, the thematics change. The people are the only constant. So when we were setting up, I was like, look at the people you're putting at that table. So in some ways, you have to look at what is being done right. You have to look at what gives these people their success. But then as a production company, as actors, you want to do your own thing. You want to put your own brand on it. You want to do things differently. So we try and be as individual as possible. But there's also that element of don't do something different if it's not going to work.
Right. Don't be different just to be different.
Exactly, which we try not to be, but again, we impart our own style
Trying
on
to
it.
be
Yeah,
ourselves,
yeah,
I think.
absolutely, trying to just be us.
Yeah.
Kendall, as a social media guru of your group, and you guys can chime in on this as well because you guys are such D20 fans. D20 has had some recent issues with them playing at Madison Square Garden with Ticketmaster upcharging tickets and tickets disappearing and then coming back in thousands of dollars as to be purchased. What are your thoughts on that, about how that happened?
I mean, I feel like these things are so technical,
Yeah.
and I think I don't know because that was like a ticket.
It was
thing,
it was a ticket thing, and from my understanding, and I'm going to speak not fully educated on the situation, so by all means I may say something that's uneducated. I believe it was something contractual that was not ironed out with D20 and Ticketmaster, so within their rights, Ticketmaster could take the tickets and that sort of stuff and reprice them, but D20 have such a rhetoric of, like, I mean, anyone who's watched Dimension 20 will know Lee Mulligan's rhetorics of like, socialism and, you know,
anti-capitalism, yeah.
Capitalism and all that sort of stuff. So I can imagine when being put in that situation, that was really difficult for them to do, because we do live in a capitalist society, and so there are these things that we have to kind of sort of go through. So I can imagine it was a really, really difficult thing for D20 to do, because I know their dedication to the fans is so stalwart.
Right.
And I'm fairly certain that they were trying to renegotiate the contract and get that ironed out for them all, which I guess in that case is all you can do, because when you get into like contracts and legalities and stuff like that, sometimes your hands are tied, and you are backed into a corner, and it's really, really, really difficult. But at the end of the day, like, I personally, like, from watching D20 and knowing a bit about the company, I know that they're all for the fans, and they'll do as much as they can to try and correct that in order to be there for the fans. So, I mean, yeah, they did as much as they could, I believe. So,
yeah. I get it. So speaking of capitalist societies and like corporations and stuff, let's talk about Wizards of the Coast, my favorite people to bash. They have essentially so something recent has happened. The CEO of Wizards of the Coast has stepped away, or has been let go. Do you expect her departure to change how they have been handling the Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering to some extent, but how they've been handling Dungeons and Dragons and the backlash over OGL and all the 1D&D stuff? Do you think her departure is going to change that, or do you think that someone else is going to come in and do essentially the same thing?
I mean, again, you're looking at a company, and companies aren't, like, decisions aren't made as one person. We as a company know that, like, at minimum, decisions are made between myself, Kendall, and Ben. Like, it's never just one person. With the responses that the community have given to this company time and time again, and it's glorious to see the community, like, knit together and like defend each other. There was that whole thing about AI art as well, when the community came together again. That was really beautiful. You can only hope that that feedback is taken on board. If this person steps down, is it only them that's making these decisions? Probably not.
Probably not.
Is it a committee? Probably. Will that committee appoint someone who will take on the thoughts and the feelings of the community and listen and impart that more? We hope so.
Right.
That would be great. It's again, as I said before, this genre, this medium starts and ends with the community. Like the nerd culture in itself is beautiful.
Yes.
Comic-Con, whatever. The community is like no other, and that's beautiful. But I think D&D has a special place where it is almost run by the community. So long as they listen to the community, they can kind of do no wrong. So if they appoint someone else and they look at what the community wants and what the community is driving for, then hopefully that'll be, and that's what they are trying to do now with like the new D&D system. I can't remember if it's like,
we're gonna talk about that, because I have not a big fan of 1D&D. Everyone knows. I'm not a fan of 1D&D. I waffle between 4E and 5E a lot. I stay firmly in 5E for my games and everything else, but I love 4E. Speaking of which, they've essentially sanitized D&D with this new system. And I know it's an attempt to make it more inclusive and trying to be more, I guess, fair. But with that, they've changed the feat imbalances. They've changed this whole 3 spell list thing. They've changed the rogue rules. What are your thoughts on that as a group that's playing in the 5e system? And do you plan on changing to 1D&D system or sticking with 5e?
So this was, funnily enough, a discussion that we were having when we were setting up the stream, because all of this OGL stuff and the new system coming in, we had to keep an eye on it because we didn't know the legalities were going to change. But also this new system was coming in, and we basically said we're going to stick with 5e, and
Okay.
we're going to see how 1D&D comes out, and if we like it, we might change. But as it comes out, that's not a necessity. There's already a rule in 1D&D that had been implemented in the 5e mechanics, which is bards can change their spells on the daily. That isn't a thing in 5e, but it made sense to me
Right.
because bards are like rogues, they are a Swiss Army knife, but of the
Yes.
spellcaster variety.
Mhm,
And for me, I was like, well, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, let's implement it. And again, I think this is the beauty of the game, is that you can make the game what you want. You can take as many rules as you want, and like with 5e as well, so many people now rule that drinking a potion is a bonus action because people feel that it's more apt and appropriate for it. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that these rule changes can come in, but you can still make the game your own. You can use it as a scaffolding, but you can if you want to, because we're obviously used to 5e.
Yes.
But
yes.
people who come in the next generation, if they find it's more accessible, if they find it's easier to get into, great, more people for the community.
Right.
And then they can come and learn about 5e.
Right.
And if they prefer it, we'll welcome them on in to
Yeah.
the 5e group. Like, because there are people who swear off 4e. I personally, from what little I've seen, I don't mind it. I played a bit of 3.5. I love it. It's great. So every variation has its own, what's the word I'm looking for?
Flavor.
Strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
So I guess again, it's just like seeing what comes out and then making a decision when we've got a full system and going, is this something that we want to adopt, or are we happy where we are in 5e? And I genuinely don't know. I suspect we might stick with 5e, but
You never know. So, I want to know, out of the entire cast, for you three who are here and the rest who are not, D&D has this way of making like odd collectors and hoarders of ourselves. So who's the mini collectors? Who are the dice goblins?
do you want to mini first and then dice?
Which one?
Minis all the way. I love them. I can't get enough. I can never get enough printed on screen. I'm going to game shops all the time. I'll get my partner. I'll be like, you can pick from these boxes. You pick a box based purely on vibes, and then we'll pick it out and we'll see what we've got in there. And it's so addictive. My brain just goes off. And dice, I think, is Ben.
Ben has so many dice.
You.
I am a dice goblin, but
Okay.
Ben is like the ultimate dice goblin.
Like bags and bags.
He got me into being a dice goblin. Ben has bought me a lot of dice as well,
Yeah.
so it's also his fault.
He loves getting people addicted to the dice
Because
lifestyle as
you
well.
had like one set of dice, am I right?
Can I
And
say
then
something wild? I have never bought a set of dice.
Really?
Never bought a set of
That's
dice.
so true.
People,
that's so illegal.
every time I level up, somebody throws another D6 at me and goes, there you go, you sneak attack. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, never bought dice. Ben's bought me dice. You've bought me dice.
I have.
I will buy you dice at some point.
Yeah. I'm waiting for it.
It's very telling that you haven't bought.
I buy myself dice.
Yeah,
you got to take care of the rest.
they always give me dice.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
A friend of mine meeting.
Aww.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw something else into the mix as well.
What's that?
Everyone else is all about iPads and stuff like this, right?
Mhm.
I like having the paper because
Really?
Carbon copy
I'm
all
so
the
for
way.
Wow.
I know, it's so rare.
I'm such an old
Wow.
A couple of old men and we like our pencils and our pictures.
I need to write it down.
You know, what happens when your iPad runs out of battery, or what happens if you're trying to go back to a character you played years ago? I'm not there yet, but I know I'm going to have Brickett's sheet in a little frame, and
Yeah.
you know, I can keep that forever.
Actually really nice.
Yeah, you
That is
technical.
I will also say, to back Kendall up on this couch, I say I'm a carbon copy fan, and I am. Like, I don't have my entire world logged in Obsidian on my laptop, just because otherwise the folders would be like this. So sometimes you kind of have to bow to the technical side, but
I just have a bigger upset.
So if I looked at a character sheet, I would be like, what? Like,
Yeah.
how do I write? How?
So
you
yeah.
know?
So
Like,
Where
I
I'm
can't. Why can't I scroll? Why is it not scrolling?
oh man.
Yeah, I've got a wee notebook, and that's what I have in my bag. And every time it gets too full, I rip the page off and I do another one of what I've got in my bag. I've got one of
Wow.
Siggy Tears in my bag. I don't know if he knows. I plucked it when he was sleeping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we know it was Siggy.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So, as an experienced DM and as experienced players now, what advice would you give someone transitioning from being a player to DM, or vice versa, or someone who just wants to start out as a TTRPG player?
That's a very good question.
Going,
Go.
I can't speak on DM, but you said going from never playing to playing, right?
Yes,
I
yes.
think the only advice I could ever say is have a go. If you're an actor and you want to work on your craft, have a go. It completely strengthens your idea. If you enjoy fantasy, if you've read the first chapter of Lord of the Rings, have a go. You know there's no reason to not. And if you have a go and you don't like it, then get out of here. But,
It's also just such a way that you can be a child again and
Yeah.
like
Yes.
use your imagination and just not have to exist in this world for just like a little bit.
Oh, the escapism.
Like
Mwah.
just
Yeah, yeah.
and just I love creating characters that I would love to play and I would
Yeah.
love to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's just an excuse for you to do what you want, like
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best way.
Yeah.
And like
no.
be imaginative and creative and have this little outlet with like in a safe space with people that you trust and want to create a story with. I don't know, it's great.
No, and you get to
No, I love
explore things that you might be terrified of doing in real life. If you're not the kind of person that likes going up and talking, you sit down at a table full of, I don't know, 5 or 6 people that you really trust and you really get on well with, and all of a sudden you're a bard and you're playing tunes in a pub and you're encore, and you know, it's just such a freeing
Yeah.
place to spend your time.
And also I found that I made all of my first ever characters that I played be quite low charisma, so that if I didn't want to speak, I could always be like, you guys do that bit, I'll do something else. Just to give myself that little safety net if you
Yeah.
you know, if you want
Yeah.
to like get started, but you don't want to be the bard of the party that
Yeah.
does
Right.
monologue and go around, I don't know, you know.
No, I'm with you.
It's kind of, you can choose what you want to be and
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Jack, as a DM, as an experienced DM, what advice would you give to someone who's going from player to DM?
Player to DM. Number one, I think you touched on this before of like the best actor is the best listener. Like, go away and watch other DMs.
Yes.
I learned some of the best techniques from watching other D&D streams. You don't need to plagiarize their work. Like but you can learn. Think about why they're engaging you. Think about what you really love about their specific style. And nowadays there's so many streams out there and bits of content. You've got so much information. So go away and like learn from other DMs. That's a really, really valid tool, because the more people you look at, the better DM it will enrich your experience. And then I think the other thing, and this is probably just me personally and the way I run, because I know some DMs run it by the seat of their pants. They improv everything. They've got one sticky note with Bobbling the Goblin on, and that's it.
I can
Shut.
never. I can never.
I could never do that. As I said before, if I know the rules of my world,
Mhm.
and I have asked myself the questions of why is this happening? What is this for? What's the purpose? If I know the rules of my world, I can yes and so much more comfortably. I can improv this person because I have all the rules ready to go, going, that person wouldn't know about this. Actually, that person wouldn't do this because he doesn't believe that that's
Right.
the right thing to do. She is not going to go with them because she has no interest in an adventuring party.
Yeah.
So the more you know about your world, for me personally, the easier and the quicker that improv will come to you. The more you know, the more you can yes and an improv. Yeah.
So, would you recommend someone who's just starting out to DM or even playing to do a module rather than homebrew?
I usually say yes because you don't need to think about the story. However, I myself have never run a pre-written module because I look at that book and I find it so confusing because I have to sit down and I have to learn the book. Whereas if I'm writing the story, as I'm writing it, it's in the back of my mind already, so I can remember it so much more easily. So again, I think it depends on the person. Definitely go to your local game store and pick up a pre-written module. Just have a flip through, just have a quick read and look at it and see if this gelled with you and see if that structure is what is going to get you into it. Because some people, when they're making their own homebrew world, will go, whoa, that's too much. But if a pre-written module is not for you and you really want to go down the homebrew route, what I will say is this. I am making my world step by step. I have the vaguest ideas of the entire world, and I have very specific ideas about very, very tiny points. You physically cannot build the world in a day. You are not,
It's
unfortunately.
impossible.
So it's okay to start in a tiny town, in a small city, and just focus on that one element, because as you've got all of that pre-written content ready to go, you can then go, okay, I think they're going to go this way, so I'll start building around this path and I'll flesh out that tiny section of the world, and then they'll go this way. So start small and grow out.
That makes sense. And what about you guys as players, experienced players? Someone who never done this before, do you recommend module or do you recommend finding a DM who homebrews?
I'm so spoiled. Jack's the only person that's never DM'd me. Oh, that's not true, is it? What was that Witcher's Dead game?
Oh yeah, we did a tiny little one sheet with one of our friends, and they were the story master of that one.
Oh,
We were Familiars of a Witch.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's a little one sheet TTRPG. I want to say it was written by the same person who wrote like Honey Heist and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
I might be wrong, so please someone shout at me if I'm not. But basically, it is this one sheet of, you are the Familiars of a Witch. Your witch has died. You need to go and avenge her. That's the story, and it was one session. And it was beautiful.
It was one. So actually, yeah, if you are, having said that, Ez ran a mini campaign for us.
This is true.
Ez, I'm so sorry. Jack is not the only DM I've ever had.
You lied.
Cheating!
They're gonna have you for that
They
as well.
are, Ez, I'm so sorry.
You've cheated on Jack. Oh my god.
It was okay.
It was okay.
Okay, so it's a consensual cheat. That's going.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. He was cheating along with me. We were all in it together. Don't worry. Let's get back to where we were. A4 page thing is really that's my brain going. The A4 pages, they're good because they're one shots that tell a story rather than a lot of one shots you do. You're like, all of a sudden we're in the battle, we play the battle, and then that's our one shot done.
Right.
Whereas these, I've never played Honey Heist, but I imagine it's a way of transitioning from playing once but playing a battle to playing once but discovering how narrative works and how story arcs work. So maybe that's a...
Yeah, no, beautiful. I love that. I didn't even think of one pages. I think that's amazing.
Look at me go.
Look at you go!
It's like, I'm totally into this. So, and this is for Kendall and Pete first. Do you guys prep or like go over your characters up for the next session? Do you do any type of like, for the players only, without Jack there, type of like, what are we going to do next, or how are we going to interact next, or do you guys just get on set and wing it?
So, closure. No. As a group, we've had a couple of things that I think that we've been like, this is what we might be doing next, right?
Yeah, but you can only ever theorize because Jack's got the reins. I think often no. But when we have, it's been in the vaguest of senses.
Or there's been secrets where I've not been allowed to listen.
Oh yeah, sorry, Ben
And
loves
I
his
still
theories.
don't know.
Ben loves theories.
Really?
Ben always comes up and he'll look at Kendall and then he'll pull me in the way and he'll go, this is mine. And it's very funny. He does it because it winds up Kendall.
Yeah, it winds up.
But in terms of prep, I listen I live about an hour away, and I phoned my mum for the first half an hour of the drive, and I just chat trash to her, and that's always nice because it shakes off the day. And then in the last 20 minutes, I listened to swampy folk country music, and I just go, I'm a grunt, in the car to myself until I feel like I'm in the voice, and then I get there and all bets are off and the game goes. I don't know what you do.
Well, I feel like before this campaign started, I really wanted to be in a space where I knew who Tony was, and like I knew everything about her, and I just wanted to be like ready, just so that I could go with whatever was thrown at us. And I think I did that so much, but then an instance happened a couple of weeks ago. Do you remember where I messaged you and I was like, I just reread Tony's backstory and I forgot about this. And I was like, I mean, it was like the tiniest thing, like this thing that was somewhere, and I was like, I forgot about that. That's the thing. But other than that, I feel like
just the occasional revision of backstory.
Yeah, revision of backstory. I think if there's something that we've done in the session before and I had something that I wanted to do, I always make sure that I make a little note to do it next session so that I can still kind of carry on and be in that same headspace. And I also have a playlist for Tony that I do listen to get into the mindset, which I cannot reveal yet because again that song is on there and that's a whole backstory. So
more backstory. So as a DM though, what balance between prep knowledge and winging it do you prep for each session?
I'm a prepper. I think as we've discovered, I will never feel comfortable with the amount of prep I've done because I know that there's something coming. But rereading my monster stat blocks is something that I don't do enough because I'll always make a mistake of like, oh, they have this immunity, or actually they can't do this. So like 7 years into playing this game, I'm still learning mechanics and systems that help me remember and work better, and I'm constantly just trying to improve.
Pulling a book out all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I need to revise this particular condition. I'm just going to double check this spell to make sure I've got this right. I'm going to go over this NPC voice. Okay, I'm going to go through her like drives and motivations and make sure I know what she's looking for so that I can give her the most authentic story. So yeah, there's all sorts going on.
That's amazing. That's amazing. How do you guys, and as a total group, maintain the chemistry between you all? Like, do you guys constantly hang out with each other? Or do you guys give, like, after a session, like, completely give each other a break? Don't call me, don't talk to me, I've seen you for 3 hours, go away. Like, what is the balance that you guys have to maintain the chemistry that you guys have made throughout the years?
You know what? I feel like finding the time to play is so difficult that when we play, we love it. And I think that's like, it. Like
that is the social.
That is it's like we try and see each other outside of filming, which isn't always possible.
We watched for the first time last week, we all sat down and watched the episode live together.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we're just all off and about. I live in a different city. We're all TPK is my day off. I work 5 days a week and I get so excited that I just
I think that's what makes it so special though, and why I feel like we don't have to actively make effort for the chemistry to be there, because I feel like we have all just become such great friends. Yeah. And like we all look forward to playing so much. It's literally the highlight of my week. Like I'm so excited to play.
It's just I know.
And I just really want to know what happens.
I can tell you get in the room and you're shaking this, man.
I think we were all saying this weekend just gone, we weren't filming on the Monday, and at the minute we finally in this year just started to do like an almost every Monday sort of thing. So on those Mondays that we're not filming now, we're really feeling it, and we are all in group chats like, miss you guys.
Just getting itchy. What am I doing?
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What you eat today? Are you thirsty? Should I just drop by and give you something to eat? Like, I get it. I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any regrets or mistakes that you've all made as DMs or players?
Regrets or mistakes?
Whether during gameplay, during the story, like any regrets or mistakes, you're like, dang, I wish I'd never done that.
I metagamed in episode 7, and I hate myself for it. Was it? No, maybe it was episode 10. Billy and Callum were really
So immediate.
Like,
That was so
delightful
on his mind
moment.
for so long.
I'm learning from it. They had this hilarious conversation. It was such interesting writing. Jack had built some backstory with Callum about something, and Dewey had discovered something himself, but Callum had played into the game that he got the character's name wrong and he couldn't properly say it.
Yes.
And Callum was chatting about this guy, and then Dewey was chatting about this guy, and I was writing something down, and I was not listening, and I was writing away, and then I looked up and I went, "Oh, are you talking about the same person?" And I just ruined that. What a mean person! I felt so bad.
It was totally.
I feel like I also did the same thing. I was looking at it and I was like, wait.
Surely,
you
come
know.
on.
Sure you
And I
know.
swear one of them rolled for it and didn't roll high enough, so Jack was like, "No, you're an idiot." It was very good. So there you are. There's my regret.
Yeah. I feel like with me, I regret things that I don't do a lot.
Ooh.
Because I feel like I'm still, as I said before, a lot of the characters that I've built are quite low charisma, because I like to give myself that safety net of them not
Yes.
speaking, don't know what to say, or if I don't know how to approach the situation, because I still feel super new, even though I'm not. But I've completely lost my train of thought now.
Regret when you don't say
yes.
something.
So sometimes I have this really cool idea in my head of something that, you know, maybe Tony would say at this point, but then I push myself down and I'm like, no, don't say, like, that's not, she wouldn't do that, don't do that. And then after it, I'm like, oh, that would have been a really cool moment, why did I not do it? But I think it's something that I'm kind of like learning to let go of, because like you said, that moment that you were referring to before, I think that was a moment where I was like, do I do this? And I was like, no, just do it. Otherwise this will be another thing that you regret not doing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's just having the confidence to do it for me that I struggle with, but
I love that.
We're getting there.
You're more than getting there. You
Yeah.
are, like, there's been so many. But again, I think the difficulty for you is that Tony is such a quiet, uncharismatic character that you don't have as much like motivation or reason to go in for those moments. So it has to be whilst you're by yourself on your own, this, that, and the other.
Right,
It has to be you. So like,
Yeah.
you're smashing it.
Yeah, but I think it is more that for me, of things that sometimes I convince myself not to do things when really I should just do it, and that's what I regret. And I'm learning. We're learning. It's fine. How about you, Jack?
all the time. I'm such a perfectionist as well,
Right.
to the point where it's unhealthy. So I'll come out. Same brain. So I'll come out of a filming session, and I'll look back through my notes, and I'll have missed like one line of fluff text that I really liked, and I was like, oh, I wish I'd put that in. Or, oh, I wish I'd have done this differently. I wish I'd have done that. I wish I'd have done that. Bah, 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 bah. And then I'll go back and I'll re-watch the episodes. My partner always laughs at me because I'm there silently looking at myself, and she won't watch the stream. She'll watch me because I'm there nodding along with what I'm saying to double check if I've said it correctly, which is ridiculous because I'm so hung up on making sure that I deliver that moment correctly.
Right.
So, and then I'll watch the episode and I'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I don't need to regret that as much. Maybe that was okay. Actually, I quite like that. But when I come out of the filming session, there's always that little voice in the back of my mind that's like, oh, I just wish I'd have done this better. And most of the time, thankfully, I watch it and I go, you can maybe relax. But there are occasions where I'll be like, nah, I feel like something should have happened here, or something should have happened here. Missing rules, I think, is one.
Yeah,
missing
a rule, or there's a combat that happened, and you're like, this shouldn't have gone that way. I wish it didn't go that way, you know, or I should have put something else in there. It always feels off. What is one of the most important life lessons you guys have learned from gaming and doing this as the Players Keep?
That's good. I'll go first because I have mine. Not as a DM, but as a player. Very early on, it's okay to be bad at things. I had a real complex when I started. I was one of those players that I was like, I have to do everything. I have to be involved with everything,
Yeah.
and I have to roll well because I've got to be. And it took me a while to let go of that and be like, it's okay to fail at these things.
Yeah.
It's okay to be bad. Perfection is an unobtainable goal. It's a myth. Chill out, man. So it was learning that it's okay to be bad at things. That's a totally acceptable thing to do, and you should feel good in yourself when those bad rolls happen, because it's for the plot.
Yep. What about you guys?
You in? You got it?
Well, I think for me it's kind of similar to yours, but also similar to what I was just saying. Is just having the confidence in myself to just do things.
Yeah.
Because I think I do talk myself down from doing stuff quite a lot, and it's just been me being able to like let go and say like fuck it, just do it. And just be myself and not care.
Right.
And I think that
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's me.
I love it.
I think mine, maybe pick your team well. Like, I suppose a lot of actors probably do it, and a lot of scatty brain people probably do it. Like, you change yourself to suit your environment, and you might find yourself being somebody you're not because you're trying to suit, or you get hung up on, and you overthink if you're with the wrong people, and you don't give as much of yourself if you're with the wrong people. And there was a moment where, like, as an actor, I always get hung up on being able to cry or not being able to cry, or being able to stay in a moment. Everyone, but again, the more you get hung up, the less you're able to be there. And I think there's just something I've discovered about sitting around with these guys that, like, it's just easy when you're with the right people. And I think you can carry that into life as well. Surround yourself with decent people, and life's not too hard.
I love that. So that's so sweet. You guys are so adorable.
Thank you.
What is one of the most ridiculous things? I know for me watching your campaign, but for you guys, what is one of the most ridiculous things that's happening so far in your campaign?
Yeah. So if we're going ridiculous, as in blew us all away, it has to be Cricket's moment with the Medusa. No spoilers for anyone.
No spoilers who doesn't see it, but
yeah, because I would love for people to go away, even if they never return to the stream again. Just watch that one episode.
Yeah.
So like outlandish things. Yeah, no words. No words
at all.
But I'm lucky enough to not understand the mechanics as much as I love the mechanics. Like, you can get hung up in mechanics, right? And you have to remember you're telling a story. And Jack is a very giving DM. There's so many times I go, Jack, can I do this? And he goes, no, you bloody can't. You can't do that. And this was just one of those moments where I was like, Jack, can I do this? And he was like, wow.
Yeah. It was one of those moments I was like, what is happening? like you're watching something like, hold on a second, let's back up here. What is happening? Like, I can't
remember something
in the moment.
Yeah.
Because I think that was no, I was gonna say that was the first time we've all felt hopeless, but that is not true. You do this to us next time.
I have been ramping up the dial. I might need to turn it down a bit to give you guys some breathing space.
But I feel like there was a moment when that was happening. I feel like we all looked at each other around the table and we were like, this is it? Like, I genuinely do not know how we get out of this.
The DM was begging you to run.
I was like ready for us to start a new campaign. I was like,
we're all going to die. We're all going to take our initials of TPK and make it happen tonight.
Yeah, we're the badge. We're the badge.
But it was, I was fully convinced that was it. And then Pete just, don't know where you pulled it from. It was insane.
And then it builds from the table. Like, Cricket was not leaving Siggy behind. Cricket was not leaving Tony behind. And, Willow had done a very good job. And again, the dice tell the story. Willow did a very good job trying to persuade. And the dice weren't having it. And I don't know. That's what I love about the immediacy. I wasn't thinking anything of it. I wasn't, if you sit in the moment and you go, what would I do right now? And then the moment changes, and what would you do right now? What would you do right now? And that was that moment. And
what a moment it was!
It was a moment. I was like, wow. It's one of those things where, like,
I couldn't get how big it was. I
Oh,
was just like,
you were saying when we all reacted, you were afraid you'd done something really wrong. You were
Yeah.
afraid you'd screwed up because we were all just silent.
I thought Jack was gonna be like, cut.
Get out!
Yeah,
Get out! Go!
yeah. You see my wee leg bouncing away. I'm like, what's
Yeah,
going on? Why is
where
nobody
is it?
talking here?
And I didn't have the words.
That silence felt
Yeah.
so long. It
So-
felt so
Jack,
long.
as a DM, when you have something like that, one of your players do something like that, how do you roll with it? How do you kind of go, well, crap, what do I do now?
I mean,
We'll end the episode. No.
Well, you know, we
there's definitely merit.
Love it! Remit is a new word for merit.
There we go. This is double up. There's merit in leaving it on a cliffhanger. And if you as a DM want to prepare something absolutely monumental and you need a week, take a week.
Right.
Take a week. There's no shame in that whatsoever, because again, you're doing justice to the story. But if you're in the middle of the moment, for me personally, I go, okay, you have every opportunity to do this. And I, as a DM, don't like to firmly yes and no. If a player wants to do something that's not like rules as written,
Right.
I'm going to go, let's give it a shot. Let's roll those dice. But then I let the dice decide. So I go, okay, what checks do you need? So in that moment, it was an athletics check
Right.
to grapple. And then it was a contested check to see what happens. And then I won't say any more because spoilers.
Yes.
But I was like, so when that moment happens and my player does something really out the box, I go, yeah, okay, let's see if you can do it. Let's roll the dice on these checks, these saves, these attack rolls, whatever it will be, and also I will give them as many opportunities to succeed. If I think there's a whiff of an advantage, I'll give it to them, because I don't like fudging rolls either.
Yeah.
Because when you do something cool, I want you to trust me that you've done it.
Right.
And it was the dice that allowed you to do that. So I make sure that if I want something to happen, I'll give you advantage, or I'll set the DC
That's
at
a
a
good idea.
practical level, so that you can still have that sense of achievement without going, I succeeded on a 5. Well, he must have fudged the roll.
Right,
You just
right.
know that I've rolled poorly.
There's like so many people.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
role that you
But,
made.
and
was
that's
like,
and that's so fair, and that's
Right.
so
but
fair.
he's just such a bad roller.
That's me.
So,
No, I'm so there with you. Bad
Yep.
roll club, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
roll, you would have fudged one of those persuasions and we never
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Exactly,
right.
exactly. She had 3 or
It was a-
4
yeah.
cracks at the whip,
It was
and
gorgeous roleplay.
And that's a perfect example of me giving you every opportunity.
Right.
Is that I could have quite easily hit combat after 1 failed persuasion and that been it. But I made it a skill challenge to give them every opportunity, and the dice said no
Right.
3, 4 times. And at that point, I was like, okay, as a DM, my hands are tied. I have to go into initiative. And then in initiative, there was another roll. And so, yeah, I try and give every opportunity to yes and if the dice say no, then we move on and we try and find out a different way.
Right. So with that, with what Cricket did that day, and like we said, we won't go into it. Do your players routinely try to derail you and go venture off the storyline, or do they just naturally kind of wander and meander throughout the story?
If they derail, they don't do it on purpose.
Okay.
They I think because they are also actors, they yes and quite a lot. When I give them like an opportunity to do something, they usually follow it. So I'm very privileged, I guess, that when I prep something, if I were a betting man, it would be probable that they'll go for it. But that's not to say that everything I prep happens on stream. There's a whole section of Dolomus' storyline, which was the first city that they met up in. There's a whole section of Dolomus' storyline that they never touched. They never, because they didn't ask the right people or
Right.
meet the right thing or go to the right place. So they will not do stuff that I set out. There was an Ankeg Hive side quest. I'd planned out a whole hive. I had a whole insect colony with different castes of insects to do different jobs within the hive. and they didn't pick it up at all, and that's and that's totally fine. But they'll never purposefully see me go, here's a door, and they'll go, I'm going through the window. Like, yeah.
So,
Yeah. And for that, I'm very grateful.
right, thank you for please never ever do that. Quick
Yeah.
question though, do you guys plan on having guest stars anytime soon popping up on you guys?
Soon, we don't know. Eventually, absolutely.
Yeah, it's something
awesome.
that we've definitely discussed and kind
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
we're thinking about. We don't know when, but maybe.
Absolutely. Because again, new people, it changes up the dynamic,
Yes.
it adds more diversity to the story, and it means that I, as a DM, have more people giving me backstories that will decide the history of my world in a place that, like, today I've been working with Pete, because I never liked the canonical lore of grungs. I wanted it to be a little bit more like versatile. Me and Pete sat down and rewrote the grung lore from the ground up. So it's more guest stars will mean more opportunities to like bring in new elements and things that we ourselves have never thought about, or stories that we either don't feel that we can tell or don't want to tell or haven't thought about telling. So yeah, there's loads of opportunities to enrich the game with guest stars.
Awesome, that's awesome. So this is for Kendall and Pete. Do you guys as a unit, and that also for the cast that's not there, try and push past the boundaries of the story to see where it'll go, or is it always so engrossing that Jack is such a good storyteller that you pretty much stay the course?
Do you want me to close my ears again?
I think there's a real, for me personally, there's a real level of trust at the table, and the reason we're all telling the story in such an exciting way for me is because we're all, maybe in different ways, maybe in different directions, but we're all trying to tell the same story. We don't know what it is, which is amazing, and Jack doesn't know what's going to happen on the next page,
Right.
and together we're all trying to shove this into a book or whatever, but for me, why would I mess with Jack when he's doing such a good job of
Yes.
trying to give this magic? There's places to wind him up, and that's great. But I'll do that. Like, I'll find an NPC that he wasn't planning on being at a bar, and I'll go and pick him up, or I'll do this, or there's a difference between
Finding out what the milkmaid is doing.
Exactly, right? There's a difference between covering exciting things for all of us, and it being exciting for all of us, and just forcing Jack to have to act on his toes in a way that he wasn't ready to. And there's a balance, and it's a thin line, but I think we do a half decent job.
And I think we're all so excited about the story that Jack wants to tell, and that Jack has come up with all of our backstories. There's like, I feel like we all just want to know what the story is, so
Right.
we're all kind of on the same level, literally, like you were saying, that we're all just so focused on the story and so interested and invested in the story that that's just kind of what happens, I think.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Thank you very much.
You guys are so
As I
close.
said, I'm really grateful for these guys. They're wonderful people. They're beautiful players. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. In your opinion, what is the most important personality trait or strengths someone would need to work in the industry that you guys have chosen with streaming this live play and being successful at it?
I'll go because I've got mine. Have you got yours?
I was gonna say
Go.
patience.
Ooh.
I think that there's been so many days where the tech hasn't worked, and where, like, we started streaming in August last year. Yes, the start of August last year, and there was like so many days where we were like, oh, just nothing's happening, nothing's working for us, nothing's going right. And I just think, like, patience with that, and just working hard and keeping focused, and that side of patience.
Right.
Well, with the whole tech issues, patience, and things not working, patience, and just also being patient with each other and allowing each other to have space and things like that is super important.
And I think that's something that I'm always really grateful for, that as a production team between Yumi and Ben as a group as a whole, there is always an understanding and a patience and no matter what road bumps we have or what friction, it's all water under the bridge, and a new day dawns, and we're good.
Right, right.
Dawn.
Yeah. What were you going to say though? Was that yours? Or
No, it wasn't actually. I was going to say being a people person. Like as an actor, you have to be a people person. Like everybody knows that one actor who thinks way too much of themselves.
Yes.
And everybody hates because nobody wants to work with them because they're impossible. You have to be a people person. But on that note, and I suppose this is less for streaming because there's so many different tables out there, and there is a table for everybody. But it was for putting your content online. As I said before, it was really important for me that the people I was with were lovely to watch. That they were people persons.
People.
We had Remit, and now we've got people. It's going well. So long as they're likable in whatever sense that can be, because I know, nice people, because not everyone's going to get on with everyone, but you will have a marketability for someone somewhere.
Right.
So I guess know your audience with regards to what sort of a people you are.
Right.
People.
Go on.
Save me from myself, please.
You can have one for me. Patience is very good. People, and kindness and all that. I'll go another way then. I'm going to say mischievousness.
Really?
Well, just like there's a time and a place for it again, obviously. But yeah, if you are patient and you can get through a day, and if you are a people person and you're kind and you can, offer kindness to people. Other than that, like the best way to get through a long day is to not take yourself too seriously and be able to.
That's so true. Everyone gets away with all the little pokes and the wind-ups that are done in just purely jesting, but because we've got such patience and because everyone is such a people person, that mischievousness does elevate the whole group. You totally.
It's not the first one, but it's the next little gear shift. So if you've got the foundations, there's me.
I love that. So I've always believed that people that stream with specific content, especially TTRPG, are talented, undiscovered producers, directors, actors. Where do you see yourselves other than actors in these roles that I've mentioned, and do you plan on expanding on them? Because you guys are essentially producing a show, every week.
We kind of have to have been. We've got Ben as a company director, and he is like always helming the ship, making sure that schedules are out and all of this sort of stuff. As we said before, like social media could be done by multiple people and still be hard, and Kendall absolutely smashes it day by day, 10 a.m. every morning. Guys, get on socials, driving us, motivating us constantly. It's amazing. For me, it's writing and creative writing and content creation, and I guess I would like to venture into like voice acting and stuff like that as well. But then we also we don't just want the company to be me, Ben, and Kendall, and then everyone else. We want everyone to do like a lion's share, because it is all of us on the same plane. We've got like musical people.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
not any more than that, but things are happening,
Oh,
and they might involve music and writing music and things like that. So we've got that side of things going on, but then I mean Duncan, who is our tech guy and studied this sort of medium at university, he did lots of little bits of a lot of different things. He already has developed skills. The graphics that you see on our stream, that's all Duncan.
Oh, wow.
In Twitch, that's all Duncan. Like, he's developed his own skills and furthered and stuff like that. Thank the gods, because we'd be nowhere without it. We're constantly learning new skills, building and evolving, and we do that as a cohesive unit. It's all of us together going forward.
And I will say, at the minute, we all do this around other parts of our life and everything like that. But we're all desperate to be able to have more time to commit more time to the company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is just what we want to do. We just want to tell some stories. And have some fun.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
Just need
Waste
more
of
time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had talked earlier about your advice on people transitioning from DM to player, or people getting ready to become players. But once they've done that and they decide, I want to do this as a dedicated group that for live play sessions to entertain an audience, what would you tell that person or those people getting together for that first time? Like, what should they expect, or what advice would you give them?
Tech problems. It's going to be top of the list.
Most of our problems.
Yeah, it is most of the problems. Tech
Yeah.
problems is going to be a massive issue. You find people who are good at what they are good at,
Mhm.
and know what you are good at, and know what you are bad at, and find other people to do that. I could never do social media a day in my life. I would ruin it completely. It's Kendall's forte. Duncan's forte is the tech.
Mhm.
Ben's organizational skills is his forte. We all have specializations, so you almost certainly can't do it by yourself. So build a team where everyone has a speciality that you can trust them
Yeah.
to hold that portion of the job
Mhm.
and go forward knowing I can totally leave you to that, and I know whatever's going to come out the other end is going to be sublime.
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 Little Barbie reference there.
Oh,
I think for me, just make sure that you're passionate about what you're making and that you're having
Mm.
a good time, because at the end of the day, like, if you're like having fun while you're playing, that's
Yeah.
all that's gonna read, like,
Right,
and it's
right.
all that's gonna come across. And I think that is because, you know, you don't want to watch people playing D&D that are like hating everything that they're doing.
No. Yeah.
Or the
I
DM
think-
has to drag them through the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just make sure that, you know, you're all super passionate about it, and if you're all passionate and if you all love it like so much and are all invested in it fully, then it's going to be great either way. Because, you know, like we said before, we set this up hoping that maybe it could be something, but at the end of the
Right.
day, we just wanted to play a good game of D&D and have some fun and maybe
Yeah,
see
yeah,
what
yeah.
people thought along the way, like,
That's it, yeah.
you know.
Ben's always said actually, he even if no one watched it, he was happy that he would have a campaign that he could watch back.
Oh, that's
Because
awesome.
Yeah.
How many times you think of a game you played years ago and you go, oh, remember that bit? That bit was
Yeah.
gold.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's like, for me, if I have something to go back and watch, then I'm happy. And if anyone else watches, then that's a bonus. And
Oh,
obviously,
that's-
it's our dream to be able to create content that people want to watch. But if you don't go into it knowing that it's something you want to watch back, I suppose.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
absolutely. And that's something we were all really nervous about watching our first episode back, because as an actor, you never get used to hearing your own voice. You have to kind of like keep it at arm's length and just be like, I'm gonna cringe at myself, but it's fine. And I think we all said, we sat down and watched that first episode and we were like, I didn't hate that.
Yeah.
I felt comfortable watching that, and that was a novel experience for us all, and it
Yeah.
was so lovely. So absolutely, if you can enjoy watching that back,
Mm.
you've struck gold.
I
I
love
will
that.
say, if you watch the first episode, our tech gets better.
It does get better. It does. It gets better over time. Just bear with it. I promise you. Look, I'm not an actor, so I hate the sound of my own voice, but I do enjoy watching these back because it's always fun. There's like some great bits to watch back at, but I hate my voice. So, what? I always ask this question, and a lot of people ask a similar question, but it's usually different. People usually ask, "What is your biggest influence?" Someone famous, but what is one of your biggest influences that no one's ever heard of?
Oh,
That no
Lord.
one's ever heard of.
Yeah. Like most people will say, "Oh, my dad," or I don't know, that Morgan Freeman. But someone.
A small,
Both great guys.
yeah, and
Yeah.
tremendous. A small little element of mine was gonna be. So my dad has very recently done a lot of paintings
Mm.
of my world.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
there are- Yeah, and I'll give him like an element of.
Oh wow, that's gorgeous. Okay,
So I'll give you an
bring it
element-
front and center. Bring it front and center. Oh, that is lovely.
Absolutely bad.
Look at that.
That is gorgeous. I love that. I have a lot of artists in my stream, so this is like that's beautiful. I love that.
Hopefully it's well received. My dad's been doing art for so long, and he's very recently just picked up the habit of enjoying me describe these elements of my world, but then he'll use artistic license and he'll just paint something so away from the description I've given him. For instance, in this painting, I gave him a part of the Eternity Forest, which is a massive, like the biggest forest in Ilthansia. At no point did I mention like death or orchids or ruins or anything. And he went and did this whole front section, so much so that it's created an entirely new portion of the Eternity Forest based just off of that painting. So
That's
it might be a bit cliche to say my dad, but like, I guess no one knows my dad.
No one knows your dad. There you go. Maybe dad should start streaming his art, you know. But what about you guys?
Oh, you've absolutely stumped me. That is a really good question.
It's really difficult to think of like something that people don't know.
Yeah.
Because I think character-wise, definitely for me, I've always just been obsessed with telling like powerful female stories, and that's always been something that I love. And I love playing a powerful female character, and I just think it's so important, and that's what like sets my soul on fire. So I think I always try and bring an element of that in some capacity to my characters, because that's what makes me really happy.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's really. Oh, everyone's looking at me now.
It's so hard because we draw influence. I draw influences from everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
The amount of folders I've got on my TikTok of like places, animals,
Yes.
plants, costumes. I've got a voice catalog of just videos where I think someone talking sounds really cool, and I'd like to emulate that. No, genuinely, like, though, you know, I don't know if anyone's ever seen those drone shots of just like people with these really high-tech drones just flying over different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Phenomenal inspiration for a world builder to just go, I love that landscape, I'm going to describe that landscape, or I'm going to take that tree, or that animal's really cool. So like there's references abound.
Right.
You can draw from so many places. It's finding the niche one. That's,
Yeah, it's finding that little gold nugget somewhere that like no one's ever picked up. So I think we stumped Pete though.
Yeah, go on, Pete. Have you got one?
Okay, you've got my back against the wall.
Dang it! Go keep talking, Jack.
I've got
Right.
one more niche one if you want more thinking time.
I'll give you. So I love stories, and I love new stories, and I love refreshing stories or stories that are told in a place or a new way or things like that. So I'll give you two authors who probably aren't even that niche: Marlon James and R.F. Kuang. I love fantasy, but at the minute, most of the fantasy I've read is set in fictionalized Europe. And
Right.
Marlon James has written a fictionalized fantasy world, but it's very African based, and it's phenomenal. R.F. Kuang has done the same thing, but it's in an Asian setting, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, so new stories or new ways to tell stories
I love
is
that.
what gets me really excited. So there's two bookmarks for you.
Definitely.
I did it! Yay!
Yeah, you pulled that back. Well done.
Like I did it. I'm good. Okay, great. How many editions of D&D have you guys played so far? I know Jack mentioned 3.5 and 4E. Well, what about you guys? And which one is your favorite?
I've only ever played 5e, so I guess that's my favorite.
Yeah, I don't really understand editions. I know if there's something I don't understand, like I've part of Cricket's thing is he fires bows and arrows, so I just turn to Jack and I force him to make me more mechanics. So I'm like, Jack, maybe make something out of this, and he'll homebrew something, or I'll do this or do that. So 5e / Jack's edition for me.
Well, here's a segue into that then. Since Jack, you've played 4E and 3.5, do you plan on maybe doing a one shot or a short campaign for these guys in those systems?
Oh, I'd definitely be open to doing a one-shot in other systems. I've read a bit of 4E, but I've never played it. I started out on 3.5 and then I moved to 5E because all of the new content was coming out in 5E, and I was like, oh, I want to get all of this new content and I want to understand it.
Right.
There are elements of 3.5 that I love. My favorite element of 3.5 is the alternating ACs. So you had your regular AC, then you had your flat-footed AC, your touch AC.
Yes.
And for me, to this day, that is always something that I love. And I'm a hair's breadth away from having that into the 5e mechanics that we have, just because I loved it so much. So I'd 100% do a little different edition. But on that note as well, I'd also look at going further afield and going, okay, instead of doing a different edition of D&D, should we do like Pathfinder, which is like still very D&D. Obviously it spawned from 3.5 and all that sort of stuff, but it is further afield, and it is a switch up in those mechanics. So I'm open for anything, but definitely 3.5 for sure.
Definitely 3.5. That's awesome. So outside of your live sessions, do you guys play D&D off camera, or it's only ever on camera?
I wish we could. I wish we had the time.
It is time. It's time.
I really do. We played a few one-shots.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was kind of back at the start. But like literally when we see each other, like we said like before, that's the time that we look forward to, and we look forward to playing so much this campaign. So. But
it's also what makes watching the stream so organic, I suppose, because we don't have any time to hang out or anything. You're seeing us become friends. Does that sound really cheesy? Like,
it's true though. It really is.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah. Give us more time and we'll do more.
Time needs to expand itself or something. Like
yes, please. It's not too inconvenient. Can time just expand for a little bit?
Well, I know you guys are so busy and super busy. But outside of D&D and doing the sessions where you finally get to hang out with each other, what other things do you do individually and as a group to just keep your mind active and happy and mentally, stable?
Stable is questionable.
Stable is always questionable.
I can't deny that I'm in my world 24/7. Like I'm always thinking of content. But on the off chance that I do have a bit of downtime, I love consuming other content, TV shows, movies, video games. Like, I love video games. I don't get much time to play at the minute, but I love video games so much.
We're the same. I love video games.
Exactly. And maybe it's a DM thing of like, there's so much within a game of like art, story, interaction, acting. Maybe it tickles a lot of the same nerves. I don't know. Yeah.
What about you guys?
I'm very lucky. My job is super active. I'm a water sports instructor, so I'll teach wakeboarding, I'll teach paddleboarding. I put on a little scuba suit and go and do the maintenance under the lake in winter when the park's closed.
Shut up! Seriously?
Yeah.
He's a very talented man. There's a section of TPK in which Pete is not at the table because he's going away and doing his scuba course.
Yeah.
And we do a little cricket one-shot, one-on-one job.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about that. Jack's an absolute genius, right? We go. I was like, oh, I really wish we could do like the side quest or the adventures of cricket, or you see what he's not on there. I've never seen this done by any other playstyle. Maybe other playstyles do it, but it's like it's just a one-on-one shot. It's one shot just between Jack and I, and it's 2 hours long, and it fills in the gap narratively. It's such an immediate form of playing because neither of you can escape. If I throw something at Jack, he can't cope, and if Jack goes, then
it's a very different thing.
I feel like I'm so nervous doing that.
Your time is coming, don't you worry. So you better prepare.
I want to know: do you incorporate their lives into the campaign?
Oh, I'm going to say that again, Sam. I'm so sorry. You cut out a bit there.
Hang on a second. Hang on. That's the bit rate going.
We've got you back.
Okay, there we go. Okay, hang on. Okay, good. Don't do that again. Okay, so
It's always the tech.
it's always the tech. It's always the tech. Okay, do you incorporate as a DM incorporate their everyday lives into the campaign?
Ooh. As in like my players' lives?
Yes. Because I like that idea of the scuba, of him going in. Like, that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
It's good fun. It's just manual labor, but it's exciting. I'm just tightening bolts and stuff like that. But
I guess no. I don't intend to. There was a section of one of the recent episodes in which they found a huge lake and Cricket went swimming, and so you naturally had an affinity for that. But that is the players putting in their own lives, because when you create a character, you put in a bit of yourself.
Right.
I can't confess that I take people's lives and I put them in. Maybe I will at some point, but
Like-
also, as you said, Kendall, it's an escapeism to get away from your life.
Yeah.
So I don't want to traumatize them too much.
Like, oh, you do that thing. Here it is in the gameplay. So, but what about you, Ken? I know. I'm like, no. What about you, Ken? What do you do outside of D&D for pastime?
I guess I'm similar to Jack. I'm such like a TV and film nerd. I will like just watch everything. I love to read as well, but it's one of them things that I barely have time for.
Oh
at the
gosh,
moment.
I would love to sit down with a book.
Oh, God. I miss
Yeah.
reading so much.
Yeah, like I'm really trying hard to like carve out some time, and especially like before bed as well. I'm like, right,
That's good.
we're gonna read.
Yeah.
God,
I
really
wish I
trying
could
to
do
get back
that.
into it, but
You do Muay Thai, to be fair. Muay Thai.
I do that. I'm trying to. I started. It's fun.
Kicking ass.
There you
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
Bit of Thai boxing.
So this is for, and I already know the answer because of Cricket's epic Medusa scene, but rules is written or rule of cool?
See, he loves mechanics.
I know. I kind of know the answer, but not necessarily because of who he is.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
loves mechanics. He can't say no to a good time. That's just you.
Back there.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I'm gonna say rules as written. But there's a reason for that, because I don't want to say yes to a rule that is unwritten if Cricket's doing something mad and I go, yeah, of course you can do that, and then not remember that I've yes-anded him there, and then I no but another player there,
Right.
because then it makes it unfair, and I feel really guilty about that. So I always go back on the rules and I go, okay, rules as written, it says this, but let's see if we can't figure out a way to do this. And the rule at my table is, if you can debate me on it and you can convince me, I'll allow it. And I've
Okay.
had that the other day. Ben was messaging me away from the stream just on another day, being like, oh, can I just check this, this, and this? And I was like, no, unfortunately not. And he said, yeah, but I can't. I'm speaking Cloak and Dagger again because I don't want to reveal what happened. But he started debating me on it, and I was like, no, okay, you know what? Fair play, you've got it. And I let him have it. So if you can debate me on it and you can convince me, I will find a way within the rules to rule of cool.
Gotcha. Okay, so if you guys could DM or play for anyone, or with anyone, dead or alive, real or fiction, who would it be? Up to 5 or 6 people.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So much is fighting back me going, critical role. Critical role. Oh my god.
Right, I'll say there's so many people I would love to play D&D with in life that I have the ability to. So I'll limit myself from them and I'll take them off the table. I'd love to play with my grandma because she just had the same energy as me in like a little 2 foot. She's half grown as it is. She's like this. She's chaos. So I've got her. She's so cheeky. She's amazing. Yeah, I'd go for her. I would go for Rick from Rick and Morty.
Oh, nice!
Oh,
He'd be absolutely
yeah.
wild. I would go for Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec
How are you
because
pulling these out
she would
nowhere?
just be that.
so good.
She'd be the ultimate yes man. She would go ahead with anything. Oh no, I'm stumped. Let's go for. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, that's me then. That's my table.
That's a
Yeah, there you go.
beautiful selection.
That's what I'm after.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
You know what? I've just had a thought of one.
Go.
I would play with the whole squad in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, wow.
Great pull.
I
Big
feel
fan.
like
Great
I
pull.
love that.
that would be so fun. That
Yeah.
would be so fun.
Yeah.
That's a good shout. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. And that's your 6 people right
That's my
there.
6
Yeah,
people.
there's 6 people right there. What about you?
If I'm being super nerdy, I think there's something to be said for having the Scarlet Witch DM your game because she could like make you see it as a reality. I think Robin Williams,
Oh yes.
R.I.P.
Yes.
would
Yeah.
be a fantastic addition.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh, I think would be. I would just have the feeling that Florence Pugh would be involved,
Right.
like really involved.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of others off the top of my head, and I can't. Those are the 3 that I've got. There are thousands more, I'm sure.
Of course.
Could you do the Fellowship from Lord of the Rings,
Oh
but
wow!
have the characters playing, but make the characters miscast? So you've got
Yes.
like.
Oh, I
you've
love
got-
that.
Playing Legolas
Yeah,
and
and you-
Frodo playing
I've seen this
Gandalf.
somewhere.
That'd be very fun.
That would be
so
funny.
funny.
That's good. I like that. That's good.
I love that. I love that. So we've
really
come.
good.
That was a really good. I love that. Like you guys, like,
At the back.
especially Pete. Like Pete was like, bam, bam, bam. Like what?
The grandma was just gorgeous.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wild.
That's
It'd be absolutely
beautiful.
I wonder how my grandma was.
So, chat, we've come to the portion of this interview where you guys get to ask questions. So, if you want to ask questions, you can put some channel point, paid channel points, about 50 channel points, ask your questions. They'll pop them in the queue. So far, we have a few, and I forget who asked this because I ended up doing it for them because they didn't have channel points. But they're asking, when are you going to do Tumblr? Please have Tumblr.
Please have Tumblr. We'll add it to the list.
Okay.
We'll add it to
I
the
will
list.
make a Tumblr.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very ready to
Absolutely.
be influenced.
Let me make
Tell
a
us
note.
to do things and we'll do them. Like we're such a young company. If you want something, tell us and we could probably.
I'll make it right now.
What? Hey, chat. What would you guys want to see on a Tumblr? Would you want to see screenshots? Would you want to see gifs? Would you want to see clips? Tell us what you want to see on there.
Yeah.
Someone else says, Maddie says, Tumblr, is it 2014? I love that.
It so is. I was
used
on
to
it a
love
while ago.
Tumblr.
Yeah, it was great.
I haven't been on Tumblr forever, but I would love if you guys had Discord, because I would like be in there all the time.
It is in the works. We've had that feedback from a lot of people, so
Okay.
it's getting there. So that's one that's slowly making our way to there. So watch this space. But we're coming for your Discord.
Spotify's another one. As soon as we get good mics,
Yes.
we're getting on
Yes.
Spotify.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I'm the same. As soon as I get some good mics, I'll do Spotify. And as soon as I get the tech issues sorted out, we'll do Spotify. But right now, the tech is just too out of control. I can't do it.
It's done well, to be fair, considering our start.
Yeah, we've done really. We're doing okay. We're doing great. Knock on wood. Knock on wood here. We're gonna keep it going. So there's another question I put in for someone else. Would you mind telling Pete we got WS watching the stream? WS.
Oh wow! Oh, the boys. They're my wee my lake. That's where I teach.
Oh, that's
Ruby
awesome!
Girl.
Hi guys. That's
Come
awesome.
to for a paddleboard lesson or run around on the aqua park. There you are.
That is awesome. Thank you for being here, guys. R. Clark Quadruple 4 says, what are the rules on drinking during recording? Also, on Halloween, I'm expecting everyone dressed up in character.
Oh, love that.
Okay,
Okay, so Halloween dressed up in character. Watch this space. Drinking on stream. A while ago, and again, I don't want to speak on behalf of the rules and regulations of a corporation, so don't quote me. A while ago, you weren't allowed on Twitch
Right.
to be seen imbibing alcohol.
Right.
I believe it. Thank you very much.
Imbibing.
I've done very well to not be so loquacious,
Yeah,
so I've got to
yeah.
have one. I believe that might have changed, but I'm not sure. I myself don't mind what the players drink at the table. I think mainly because we're pre-recording in a day, and we have, because of tech problems, because we're beg, borrowing, and stealing, because we're so startup, we don't have time to have a drink and a gas.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
Like, it's coffee and go time.
Let's go. Get coffee, get a little snack. Let's go.
It's also the thing, we're driving home at the end of the day, so we can't get plastered because we're not filming it in our... It was very British.
I will also say, we have filmed a Halloween episode in the past, and there was a very interesting costume that happened.
Yes.
So I think that was episode 13.
Okay.
Very coincidentally, if people want to go have a look at that. But however, we will take that on board about dressing as our characters, because I think everyone would actually love that.
Yeah,
We've been talking about it.
I was going to say, it won't take much persuading.
Oh no.
You're probably like, oh, this is fun. So Sleep Mercury here, they had to leave. They had to get some sleep.
We know Sleepy Mercury!
Sleepy Mercury had to get some sleep. So they blasted a lot of questions and said they will watch the VOD afterwards. So we're going to run down all their questions so that they can get them answered for the VOD. So is there going to be a follow-up to the drug dust thing in Dalamas with the gray skin and weird nightmares?
Okay, so the drug dust in Dalamas, that was one of the things that was never touched on. I'm not going to say anything because there is every possibility that the players will...
Going back to Dalamas.
If you go back to Dalamas, there's totally a way that you could...
I also think Sticky or Willow still have some of
Yep,
the drug dust,
yep.
so...
There is a little package of that narcotic substance. It's about the size of a quail's egg. The one decision that will haunt me forever. That's the DM regret. Describing a drug packet as the size of a quail.
Dang it!
Quick fire. Sorry. Yes, go.
Next one was, will we get, it's hard to see this from here, Matthew and Nakani back?
There's every possibility that they will come back. The table's open when they feel that they are ready. For those of you who don't know, Matthew and Nakani, Callum and Charlotte had to step away for some life business that they had to attend to that took up their entire focus. So unfortunately, they just couldn't be with us. If they think that they come back, then we'll start looking at getting them back and seeing what we can do to integrate them back into the group, make sure everyone's comfortable, make sure they're comfortable.
Right.
So there's every possibility, we just don't know yet.
Okay, that's cool. That's fair. Will the side of Willowback that was a little unexpected cough, the tree cough, make a reappearance?
Yes. So this was the little bit
moment.
of role play that I was talking about before, where Willow sidelined me. I have every faith that is not the start and end. I'm sure that'll come up somewhere.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. There's another one. Ben had a TPK sticker on his laptop at one point. I want one. Where can I get one? I will pay actual real life money for this.
So that at the very beginning was a test that we did on merch, not even merch, just a test on stickers, kind of like to cover up laptop logos and stuff like that, just so we had something on there. Believe you me, when we've got the capacity to put out merch, we are all just pining to put out merch for everybody. We do have plans. We promise. And thank you so much for your patience, because it's coming. It's coming.
I promise.
Yeah.
Also, Sleepy Mercury is on fire right now. Wish they were here. Downloadable video / audio at some point. Not forced, of course. My long commute in June needs this desperately.
Something that I don't think we've really looked at, but downloadable content is, again, as Pete said, we're open to being influenced. So it's definitely something that we can look into. And if we feel like it's either within our remit and possible for us to achieve, and we think is viable for the company, then absolutely.
Will be at some point thing.
Usually it's at some point, yes.
Yeah, that's great. And one last question from them. Say
We
that
have until June, is that right?
Yeah, apparently you have till June. They need it for their commute. So
You're right, we've got it.
okay. So last question from them, because before they had to go to bed. Apparently it's super late where they are. Will homebrew class mechanics ever be shared?
Yes, it will. So one thing that we have talked about is doing a Kickstarter to produce funds for the company, just to like elevate the stream as a whole. One of the stretch goals, or multiple stretch goals, will be homebrew subclasses and homebrew species. I would love for people to be able to get their hands on this and share them with their own home games. I have got so many homebrew materials. So many. I love a homebrew. It's great. So yes, absolutely. Again, I hate to say at some point, but at some point we will absolutely be releasing homebrew subclasses. I won't reveal which ones, but
That's awesome. That's awesome. So while we wait for additional questions, tell everyone what we can expect from TPK as the group, and from each of you individually, what can we expect from you?
ooh. Okay.
Sorry.
Well, right now we are streaming every Tuesday
Yeah.
at 7 p.m. on Twitch and YouTube BST.
100%. That's the main campaign.
That's the main campaign, and that's what's going to kind of be continuously happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're looking at doing alternate shows. Again, time and money being the only limiting factors here. As soon as we have, not even both of those, just one of those.
One of those would be nice.
One of those would be great.
Yeah.
We will diversify. We want to do a chat show. We want to be able to sit down and further explore all the themes that we present in the main campaign. And then, like we've discussed on here, one shots, more one-on-one shots. I would love to do more little side quests, whatever. So we want to develop. When we were looking at setting up the company, and we came up with the name "The Players Keep," one level on which that name worked was that the Keep would be a place you could go to. It was the website, the platform, that was the Players Keep. But within that meant that we weren't just going to be doing this one D&D stream. We were going to diversify content and make sure that there was more than one piece of material there. So yeah, absolutely, we're open to anything.
That's awesome.
Hopping in there, forgive me. We are aware of our growing technical prowess, which means we are also aware that we did not start off 10 out of 10. So one of the things we've been doing in order to try and give people an opportunity if they really want to get in and catch up, but don't want to miss something. I'm there. See, I'm there.
You're in.
We're trying to release some recaps. So
that's
if people
awesome.
want to know what's going on but don't have the time to commit and want to watch live, or if they really struggling with that sound quality on the first episode, then they can listen to these recaps and catch up to it.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you. So, SRO D&D says no questions, but just want to say a huge well done to Kendall, Jack, and Pete for sharing so much here, and to TPK for creating absolute magic. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
Sweet. You guys are so sweet.
That's amazing.
So,
thank you.
I want to also say thank you guys for being here and being a guest on my channel. It's amazing. You guys are amazing. It was so much fun. Great to talk to. We have had a lot of fun. I think I've had a great time. And I enjoyed your answers immensely. You know, this is so much fun.